subscribe, like the video, and, if possible, join Patreon. But if you don't have much money, you can support the channel by watching the novels on euroaudiobooks.com. Remember that you can participate in the polls so that your favorite novel gets published for free.
Synopsis. The old author is back. Becoming a prop master from Hunter x Hunter, Hunter x Hunter. The strongest corpse toucher, Hunter x Hunter. Becoming a god by writing books. The fourth new work of Hunter x Hunter. Molek traveled to the world of Hunter x Hunter and awakened the telepathic ability of the infinite surprise blind box. As long as you find specific people and places, you can find the blind box, and after opening it, you will gain magical power from the infinite world. You just need to participate in the plot and interact with the main characters to open a variety of blind boxes. So, Molek embarked on the path to becoming stronger, which was the easiest way to reach the top of the world. Start opening unlimited blind boxes from Hunter x Hunter Chapter 001. Infinite Surprise Blind Box 001 Infinite Surprise Blind Box Player. Molek Age 16 Mind Power. Infinite Surprise Blind Box Department. Trait Department / Concrete Department Skills. For basic skills, Entanglement, Absolute, Refining, and Release. Items. None Strength Assessment. 5 points. In the quiet wilderness, looking at the light screen panel that only he could see, Molek nodded. It's okay. I've finally become a nun user. He looked up at the sky. In the bloody sunset glow, stars had already appeared in the gradually darkening night. With a thought, he put away the luminous panel that no one could see. Even if others could see it, they couldn't understand the words on the panel. It was just because in this world, Hunter language was the official common language. Molek was a traveler from the Blue Star, and the world he was in now was the world of Hunter x Hunter, which was called an absolutely high-risk world on the previous planet. In this place, it was full of intrigues and murderous intentions. If you were not careful, you might die unclearly and die far away. It was strange and sudden, especially the current location of Molek. Meteor Street, a place abandoned by the whole world, and also a landfill full of waste and garbage. According to the official introduction, this is a no man's land. Therefore, even if a baby is abandoned here, there is no need to register the national number and physical data. No one knows how the residents here live, what education they receive, and what they believe in. This means that after Molek came to this world, he didn't have to worry about someone checking his household registration and origins in the future. And it is precisely because of living in this special environment that there are naturally many masters. Fortunately, I have awakened my mind ability now, so I have a certain degree of self-protection. Molek looked at his infinite surprise blind box mind ability again and couldn't help but sigh. I didn't expect it to be a blind box. Before he crossed over, he was playing a small game of opening blind boxes, and he accidentally came to this world. He brought this small game with him, and it also became his mind ability. Mind ability, Infinite Surprise Blind Box. Introduction. You can open items and skills from various infinite worlds from the blind boxes you find. Well, it is not only limited to the world of Hunter x Hunter, but also things from other worlds. It is worthy of the names of Infinite and Surprise. When it comes to being able to obtain things from the heavens and all worlds, such a powerful mind ability naturally follows the fair principle of equal exchange. It also has a limitation. That is, it's just that the blind boxes are a little hard to find. Molek couldn't help but review the two specific conditions of his ability. Infinite Surprise Blind Box. 1. Blind boxes mainly appear near special people and places too. The more special the characters and places are, the higher the level of the blind box that appears, the easier it is to get high-quality items and skills. After Molek first obtained this ability of mind reading, he carefully studied these two sentences. Then he came to the conclusion, isn't it that the closer you get to the main characters of this world, and the more you participate in the main plot, the better blind boxes you will encounter? And the better the blind boxes you encounter, the higher the level, the easier it is to get high-quality things. This is also easy to understand. In other words, you have to know the main storyline of this world in order to find more and better blind boxes more easily. Molek smiled. So, This is actually a great advantage for me. If it were someone else who got this mind ability, they would definitely be confused. They don't know who the so-called special people and places are and where they are. They can only search all over the world like a headless fly, but they can't find them. But for Molek, who is familiar with the plot, these are not a problem at all. I still have to participate in the plot, meet the famous characters in this world, and experience the classic scenes. Molek's mind gradually became clear about the ability and the next action. At the same time, he couldn't help but look at the word blind box in the name of the ability. Rather than opening a blind box, it is better to say that it is opening a treasure chest. This ability reminded him of the treasure chest novels he had read in his previous life on Blue Star. Just now, he opened a treasure chest. No, it was a blind box. This is a blind box from a cute girl who just walked out of here and doesn't care about anything. Molek took a deep look at the simple but clean little house in the wilderness not far away. It was here that Molek got an ordinary white blind box. Received a regular blind box. Do you want to open it? Open successfully and obtain the basic 4 elements: entanglement, absolute, refining, and development practice methods and applications. The levels of blind boxes are divided into ordinary, medium, advanced, and special. What Molek got was an ordinary blind box, from which he obtained the basic 4 elements of mind ability practice methods and applications. Mind ability is the basic power of this world, just like domineering to One Piece and chakra to Naruto. The energy emitted by humans is called mind, and the ability to freely control and increase mind is called mind ability. And mind mainly relies on human life force. That is the key in the body. There is key in everyone's body, but the how much of each person is different. People who can discover and use it are called mind ability users. There are almost no people who can use mind without any practice. With these mind practice foundations, Molek is basically a barely qualified mind ability user. It's a pity that she's gone. If she were still here, maybe I could get a blind box of medium, level, or above. Molek shook his head with some regret. Post views 1. 423. Start opening unlimited blind boxes from Hunter x Hunter Chapter 002. It's time to leave here. 002. It's time to leave here. The level of blind boxes is not fixed. The main factors that affect the level of blind boxes are characters and places. At different times and under different circumstances, the level of blind boxes you get when you arrive at the same place may be very different. To give a very simple example, Whale Island is the birthplace of the protagonist of this world, G. Freeze, and the starting point of everything. There will be blind boxes on it 1,000,000%. However, the level of blind boxes that appear on Whale Island with Gon, and when Gon is not on Whale Island, will definitely be different. Just like the Zoldyck family on Mount Kukuru, the level of blind boxes that appear on Mount Kukuru with another protagonist, Killua, and Mount Kukuru without Killua will definitely not be the same. And in the NGL autonomous country, the level of blind boxes that appear before and after the Chimera Ant lands is definitely not the same level. This is the main influence of characters and places. The main characters in the simple and clean little house in front of Molek had already left, so they only left him a small blind box of ordinary level. The original owner of this simple and clean little house was a beautiful girl with cute big eyes. Her name is Shouty. Her full name is Shouty Murasaki. She is polite, but she is naturally forgetful. She looks like an ordinary girl in the crowd. She looks cute, but her actual personality is unexpectedly calm and ruthless. She can be called an emotionless killer. Not long ago, she accepted the invitation of a big guy who looked like Frankenstein, killed people without blood, and spoke in a good way, and joined a certain organization that is also the most famous in the entire Meteor Street. And it is also the world-famous theft gang that walked out of this Meteor Street. They have committed vicious crimes many times around the world and are designated as high-risk Class 8 criminals in the blacklist. Even professional hunters find it difficult to arrest them. The 13 Spiders, the Phantom Troop, under the leadership of their leader Kororo, they have walked out of Meteor Street and have done many great things in the world, including but not limited to robbery, murder, theft, genocide, charity. If Shouty was still here, With her being an important character in the plot, the level of the blind box might be higher. Molek walked on the empty street, thinking, but if she were really here, it would be hard to get this blind box. After all, in this meteor street with so many talented people, if you suddenly approach someone's house without any reason, it is easy to be suspected of having ulterior motives and malicious intent. Such malicious acts often happen all the time, and people here have become accustomed to it. With Xiaoti's personality and strength, she won't give me any chance to get close to her. If I approach her secretly, I won't be able to avoid her perception at all. I won't even have the chance to explain myself. She will just swing the bulge-eye fish and knock me over with a vacuum cleaner. So, it's a good thing that she left. At least this blind box is opened without any safety risks. Molek reviewed the current situation in his mind and once again made up his mind to act with safety as the top priority. I remember that Xiaoti joined the Phantom Troop because in the Hunter timeline in July 1996, the No. 8 member was assassinated by a Silva Zoldyck of the Zoldyck family. After that, he was invited by Franklin to join the Phantom Troop and became the new number 8. After Silva Zoldyck finished the job, he complained when he got home and told his family that assassinating members of the Phantom Troop was a very unprofitable business. Also taking this opportunity, the original Phantom Troop's 4th member, Menning, faked his death and left, and was replaced by Toilet God of War, Fruit Farmer Sisotop. Xiaoti joined the Phantom Troop in 1997, the year after Silva did that job. Xiaoji caught the Swamp King and left Whale Island on January 4th, 1999. That means, from now on, there are less than 2 years before the main storyline begins. Molek silently pondered the current time node and considered how to maximize the benefits of blind boxes. You have to take advantage of the right time and place, and get the best blind box when important people are present. Really, can't I have a more relaxed and convenient ability? Molek was a little helpless. For example, the 4th dimension treasure bag that comes with Doryman. When I travel through time, the props in it are enough to make me a prop master. All kinds of props are directly invincible. Alternatively, Majin Xiaowei is also good. It can gain various abilities and powers from the dead. Touching corpses can make you stronger. It is the most suitable starting point in Meteor Street where there is no shortage of dead bodies. Even the ability to draw comics is fine. Gaining strength from your own comics. Well, although I don't have the skills to draw, I don't know if the drawing is good or not. Various thoughts flashed through Molek's mind, but in the end, he could only face the reality. Forget it. Use whatever ability you have. Of course, the most important thing now is Molek looked up at the gloomy sky and realized that it was getting late, so he quickened his pace. It's about leaving this damn place. Meteor Street is a place of outstanding people, and the things they say are all very nice. But the people here are also very bad, and you may face ill intentions from all sides at any time. Adhering to the idea of leaving early and being safe early, Molek chose to walk out of here without hesitation. Although, there are still many valuable places worth exploring in Meteor Street. For example, the original hometowns of the former members of the Phantom Troop, Kuro, Maki, Wogan, etc., as well as the residences of the Elders' Council, etc. But on the one hand, who knows what kind of dangers you will face in those places, and on the other hand, it is better to go out to a safe place outside first and safely open a lot of blind boxes to improve your strength. By that time, when you have the strength, you could go to various places calmly. As for how to get out, there are generally 2 ways. One is to be like the Phantom Troop, relying on their own strength to break through the encirclement of other countries around them. Even after they left Meteor Street, their connection with Meteor Street has not been interrupted, and they're the main financial provider of Meteor Street's military forces. In addition to them, there are many forces in the outside world that cooperate with Meteor Street. This is the second way to get out. For many gangs, a place like Meteor Street, with its many talented people, is a good place to recruit subordinates post-views. 1111 Start opening unlimited blind boxes from Hunter x Hunter Chapter 003. The Sopranos and the Fortune Teller 003, The Mafia, and the Fortune Teller Under the Moonlight. Molek paused. The bright moonlight, accompanied by a little starlight, fell on the open space in front. There, a faint black convoy lined up in a row. In front of many convoys, there were guys wearing black suits who looked bad at first glance and looked even worse than the people in Meteor Street, full of hostility. Meteor Street has cooperation with many forces from the outside world. Needless to say, the Phantom Troop who walked out of here, the Zoldyck family in Kukula Mountain, the current butler Wudong, the former butler Iponian, and the intern Canaria, all came from Meteor Street. Even the wife of the current chairman of the family, Ba Zoldyck, GQ, was born in Meteor Street. Perhaps only the unusual people in Meteor Street can make the killer family like the Zoldyck family feel at ease. In addition to these, many gang forces currently active in 10 regions of the 6 continents also have more or less cooperation with Meteor Street. They recruited gang members from Meteor Street and gave those who wanted to leave Meteor Street what they wanted: identity, proof, work, money, a far more comfortable environment than here and the outside world they long to see. This has almost become an industrial chain. The gangs have been using the residents of Meteor Street to do illegal things, and the elders are willing to send people here out in order to gain benefits from the gangs outside and maintain their rule in Meteor Street. However, not everyone has such qualifications. Those who can reach cooperation with the Meteor Street Elders Council are all top gangs in the 6 continents. Only some middle and lower-level gangster families will choose to come to this kind of wilderness similar to the free market to try their luck. See if you can meet, and see if you can find the middle and lower-level ordinary people in Meteor Street who are also trying their luck and can find a suitable boss to take you away. This is a process of mutual selection. Molek has only been in Meteor Street for a short time. He has no contact with the 5 elders at all, and he doesn't want to have any contact at all. He plans to find a suitable boss here as a springboard to leave here. Then, after getting the identity certificate, look for opportunities to venture into the outside world and look for higher-level blind boxes. This was Molek's original idea, and he was thinking of doing so, but it seems that I can change my mind a little bit. Looking at a familiar face in the gangster crowd not far away, Molek couldn't help rubbing his chin. At the same time, in Molek's sight, are there really special talents here? Who can help me? Right, Nasla lit his cigar and looked at the group of lazy Meteor Street hooligans in front of him with a slightly irritated look through the curling smoke. If it weren't for Nyan's prophetic poems that were always very accurate, I wouldn't have come to this hellhole based on the content of the divination. He remained calm on the surface, but in his heart he dodged the swaying figures in front of him with great disgust. When he thought that someone useful to him would appear among these guys, Light Nasra even had the urge to run away immediately. But his desire for money and power made him suppress these thoughts. Nyan's predictions have never been wrong. Every time she provided me with information, it was absolutely correct, and this time was no exception. As long as I can make good use of this future intelligence, I will definitely become a leader and climb to a position that everyone looks up to. Not to mention the Leeds family, where I am now. Even the 10 old men have to look at me differently, replace them. When he thought of the beautiful vision that he could achieve with the help of his daughter's magical predictive ability, Light Nasra's eyes could not help but show the burning flame of ambition. He is currently just a small leader in the Leeds family of the Underworld family, and has not had time to establish his own Nasra family. However, God has eyes and let him have a good daughter. His daughter, Nyan Nasra, has the ability to predict the future. It is with this ability that Light Nasra began to accumulate a lot of wealth gradually after many verifications and confirmations. His ambitions and desires also grew. He was ambitious and ready to show his strength and establish his own underworld family. But if he wanted to develop from in order to build up his own power, he naturally needs a certain amount of manpower. Even under the command of the 10 old men, there are many underworld families as thugs. In their own hands, they even have the legendary Tinning Beast, the highest power unit that they are proud of. The 10 old men have many talented people under their command. Since he wants to become a top gangster and even has the ambition to replace them, he naturally has to recruit a lot of talents. What's more, his precious daughter, who can help him get everything, also needs reliable people to protect her. And this time, it was he who asked Nyan and coaxed her for a long time before she wrote a prophecy poem about the location of suitable senior personnel. Then, he came here a clean, polite, generous man who can be noticed at first sight. Are these the characteristics mentioned in the prophecy? Light Nasra squinted his eyes and carefully looked at this group of Meteor Street hooligans. These guys, no matter how you look at them, have nothing to do with cleanliness, let alone having a good demeanor. Light Nasra did not think that the prophecy was wrong. Instead, he once suspected that he had found the wrong place or misread the content of the prophecy. Just when he was hesitating whether to stay any longer. "Excuse me, are you hiring here?" A young and polite voice sounded in Light Nasra's ears. Post views. 1000 start opening unlimited blind boxes from Hunter x Hunter Chapter 004. He's the only one who has blind boxes to open. 004, he is the only one who can open blind boxes clean, polite, generous, and noticeable at a glance. This was Light Nasra's first impression of the man who appeared before him. It was mainly because he was in stark contrast to the other Meteor Street thugs who were looking around, thinking of some bad ideas, or talking dirty and rude. That's why he was able to make his own judgment and evaluation so intuitively and quickly. And it just happened to be exactly the same as the judgment he made from the prophecy poem he had seen before. The prophecy poem does not give a direct and exact explanation, but is a prophetic poem. He needs to get the answer he wants from the poem himself. Light Nasra has read a lot of prophecy poems and knows the meanings of some words. For example, sleep basically means death, and so on. That's why he had doubted before whether he had understood the prophecy poem incorrectly and came to such a broken place. But obviously, when the young man in front of him, when the movement came, Light Nasra knew about Nyan's prophecy and made an accurate judgment. It is indeed a powerful ability to predict the future. This ability must be firmly grasped. In his heart, he was once again amazed and delighted at the power of the prophecy poem, and a slightly friendly expression appeared on Light Nasra's face. Ahem, that's right. He coughed lightly and said in a soothing tone, "Our Nasra family is a potential stock among the current underworld gangs. In order to develop better, we're going to recruit many capable people. Of course, our family has very strict requirements for the recruits." Light Nasra used his eloquence to talk about those exaggerated, empty, and pretentious words. Molek nodded from time to time. Well, it was just as he imagined. The man in front of him was Light Nasra, the head of the Nasra family, who later had a lot of presence in the story of Yuxin City. He was also the boss of the gangster family that Karapika specially selected to join in order to pursue the Phantom Troop. Light Nasra was originally a small leader under the Liz family of a local gang. Later, relying on his daughter, Nyan Nasra's innate awakening ability of precognition, including helping himself and other gang leaders to predict, he climbed to a high-level position second only to the 10 old men. He was often looked down upon by other gang members because of this. But he didn't care at all. Instead, he believed that the key to success was to master the intelligence of the future. Therefore, he is extremely disdainful of the provocations of other gangs, and regards them as the jealous face of a man is really ugly. He seems to be very wise and full of grace. At the same time, this Light Nasra is also a very enterprising and ambitious man. He will not miss any opportunity to climb up. In the Ukexin City chapter, when he learned that the legendary unit of the 10 old men, the Een Beast, was annihilated and the 10 old men planned to hire a professional killer unit, he realized that his chance had come. Light Nasra asked Karapika, who had captured the brigade member Eugen, to join them so as to make a name for himself in the underworld group. He is a man who looks kind and wise, but ambitious in his heart. But he is also extremely fragile. Light Nasra is doting on his daughter Nyan. All comes from the desire to use her ability to madly grab money, status, and power. He believes that as long as he can freely use accurate predictive abilities, he can even control the entire world. Even reaching the status of the 10 old men is no longer a dream. Therefore, when Nyan's ability to predict the future was stolen by Kororo, he fell into deep despair. His eyes were filled with bloodshot and tears. He howled hysterically, and he was on the verge of collapse. Everything he had, everything based on his ability to predict the future, would disappear. Later, after Karapika took over the Nasra family, the eldest daughter Nyan lived a happy life. She even went to the Sky Arena to watch the annual martial arts competition. Perhaps due to various reasons, an accident occurred later, resulting in the disappearance of the ability to predict the future that was stolen by Kororo, but is much better than Light Nasra, who never appeared again. Many things about Right Nasra came to mind, and Molek also made a brief summary of him. He was strong on the outside, but weak on the inside, lacked knowledge and vision, lacked ability and pattern, and was easy to control. He only has the ability to become a local leader, and he became powerful based on Nyan's predictive ability. Without Nyan, he is nothing, and there is not much to care about. Molek thought so. This is why he came to Right Nasra and changed his subsequent ideas. The Nasra family has not yet gained power, although it is unknown why Right Nasra came to this place. But joining in is indeed a very good place to go, not to mention that he will play a big role in the subsequent Yukexen City chapter. At that time, many blind boxes will emerge, and as a mafia family that is about to take off, it will have everything including money, intelligence, power, etc. After Star Street, there are many things to do and many troubles. And many troubles can be easily solved once you have your own power, especially in the underworld. Sometimes the situation of a lone man fighting alone is really different from that of a person with the support of an organization. Molek still understands the principle of leaning on a big tree for shade. Especially for the future direction of the Nasra family, Molek is also very clear. He knows what to do to make the most favorable choice for himself. Of course, there's another main point. He is the only one who has blind boxes to open. Molek looked at the blind box with white light that only existed beside Right Nasla, and his eyes became more determined in his choice. Post views, 870 starred opening unlimited blind boxes from Hunter x Hunter Chapter 005. It seems that my current job is to deal with things like this 005. It seems that my current job is to deal with things like this. Received a regular blind box. Do you want to open it? Successfully opened. Gain 1 cubic meter of basic storage space can be stacked. Portable storage space? That's not bad. Under Molek's perception, as long as you have a thought, you can see an illusory storage space. You can put in and take out various items according to your thoughts. This is also good. After opening the blind box and getting something, you can put it directly into this storage space. Moreover, 1 cubic meter was open this time, which can be stacked. Maybe more space can be added when opening blind boxes in the future. Light Nasra has blind boxes around him, so there's no reason why his daughter, Nyan, who is a more critical figure, would not have blind boxes around him. As a character who appeared in the plot and promoted the development of the plot, Light Nasra naturally has blind boxes around him. It's a pity that they are of ordinary level, that's all. And by the more critical Nyan, Molek is looking forward to getting a higher level blind box. If I'm right, the blind box will not appear only once. As the plot develops, when the character's importance and proportion in a certain chapter become greater, it will reappear next to the character, and its level will become higher. In that case, the Nasra family really has to go there. These thoughts flashed through Molek's mind quickly, and at this time, Right Nasra in front of him also said all those superficial words. This is the case at present. Our Nasra family is definitely the most promising mafia family at the moment. He pursed his lips, which were dry from talking, and finally concluded. In short, it is absolutely a very correct and wise choice for you to join in. Just as he finished speaking, Molek had not yet given a reply. All right. You really dare to say that. A harsh mocking voice sounded beside him. You still want to establish the Nuo Sheila family? When will a guy like you be able to establish a family? The ridicule and mockery in his words could be heard by everyone. Ken Porter. Right Nasra's face suddenly darkened. Hearing that familiar tone, he knew which bastard said that without even looking. You rubbish are here too. Right Nasra looked extremely unhappy as he looked at the two people who made the sound and were walking towards him. Why? The fruit flies in your toilet can run out to look for food, so it's reasonable for me to follow behind with a fly swatter, right? Kinport, who was walking in front and had a thin figure, a hooked nose, and sunken cheeks, said with a wry smile. If a wretch like you can come out to look for trash, I can certainly come out to look for a beast to assist me." After Kinport finished speaking, the tall and strong man with huge muscular bulges on his body followed behind him and blew out a cloud of white air from his nostrils. The beast in Kinport's mouth had dark skin and a shiny bald head. He even posed with his arms bent in a very cooperative manner. Looking at Molek, who looked particularly skinny compared to him, his eyes showed obvious contempt. "Humph, maybe it's just a useless piece of shit." Right Nasla couldn't help but snorted coldly. This guy called Ken Porter, like him, is a small leader-level figure under the Leeds family. He can be said to be on an equal footing with him. Because of this, the two parties who are in the same industry but are enemies dislike each other. They're all thinking about how to suppress the other party and step on the other party to get to the top, and they wish they could completely crush the other party to death as soon as they have the chance. Good-looking but useless? Kinport's hooked nose twitched, and he said with a forced smile, "You are talking about yourself, right? Your shabby family boasts of potential." As he spoke, he looked at Molek, who was standing beside him, and shook his head. Sure enough, trash attracts trash. A useless family recruits useless people. You guys are really extremely appropriate and suitable. Ha! You guy. Light Nasla's face suddenly turned ugly. He wanted to open his mouth to curse back, but the dark-skinned bald man behind Ken Porter stared at him intently, forcing him to hold back the words that were about to come out of his mouth. "Let's go." It's not interesting at all, seeing that Right Nasla was still so cowardly and submissive. The other Mafia members next to him looked at this side with their eyes fixed on the fun. Enjoying this moment of attention, Ken Porter, who was in a very comfortable mood, turned around happily and waved to the dark-skinned man from Meteor Street that he had just recruited. "Bullying trash will only dirty our hands." He was about to leave with a smile full of victory. But at this moment, "Boss, are you just going to let them go?" A rather bland voice rang out in the room. Kinport paused and turned around when he heard the sound. "What do you mean?" Even Light Nasra, who looked very gloomy, turned his eyes and looked at Molek, who was speaking. "What I mean is," Molek pointed his finger towards Kinport and asked calmly, "These two pieces of shit came to disgust us, and we just let them leave like that. Don't you want to clean it up?" "Of course, if you are afraid of getting your hands dirty." Molek spread his hands slightly and said with a smile, "You can also let me do it for you. After all, my current job seems to be to deal with such things, right?" Post views. 833 starred opening unlimited blind boxes from Hunter x Hunter Chapter 006. Solve 1. 1 left 006. Solved 1 left. What the hell are you talking about? Kinport's expression changed for the first time, and there was a hint of murderous intent in his eyes as he looked at Molek. Molek didn't even look at him, just waiting for Right Nasla's answer. "Clean up dog poop?" Light Nasra was also startled when he heard this. However, when he felt more and more Mafia families around him paying attention to this place, and thought of Nyan's magical prophecy poem, which never made mistakes, indeed, he gritted his teeth and pretended to be calm on the surface. It is better to clean up this kind of dirty thing as soon as possible, so as to avoid it from polluting our eyes. Molek, who wanted to recruit, said so. If he, as the boss, did not say something, it would really be like what Kinport said. Too useless, a piece of trash. What's more, so many gang members from the surrounding underworld families were looking here. No matter what, he could not lose face in such an occasion. "You are looking for death." Ken Porter's eyes suddenly flashed with a cold light when he heard that Light Nasra, a piece of trash that he didn't take seriously, dared to be so arrogant. "Twist off their heads for me." Ken Porter's face was ferocious and full of murderous intent, saying, "Just like you showed me before in Meteor Street." Hearing this, the dark bald man behind him immediately rushed out. The speed was so fast that it was like a black shadow shooting out, which made the surrounding gangsters look terrified. This Ken Porter has recruited a good subordinate. Some members of other underworld families said in a low voice with a solemn look. Originally, they thought that this big guy was so strong and powerful, and he must be a strong type. But they didn't expect that he was so fast, and his agility was also very high. Sure enough, Meteor Street is full of talents. Just a big guy found at random can have such strength and speed. This is beyond most of their bodyguards. Well, what they think of as most people here refers to ordinary people. However, for Molek, I understand. After receiving a response from Light Nasla, Molek nodded slightly. Then he turned his head and looked at the dark man who was running towards him. So slow. Molek shook his head, and then swish. Everyone felt that their eyes were blurred, and Molek's figure had disappeared from the spot. Only the place where he had stood was left with a circle of slightly splashed gray dust. The dark bald man's pupils suddenly shrank when he saw this. God, there was no trace of Molek in his vision. This also made him pause subconsciously. And this pause was for a lifetime swoosh. It was as if a breeze blew past him. He didn't have time to pay attention, and then he felt a sharp pain in his throat. Then, the pain entered his mind and directly cut off all the images in consciousness. The last scene in front of the dark bald man was only the sky and the earth spinning in endless darkness. Plop! The tall and strong body shook twice, and then lost all support points and fell to the ground. The heavyweight body fell down, splashing layers of dust. At this time, the dust and smoke from the place where Molek was originally standing had not completely dissipated. All this happened as if in a flash, leaving people no time to react. Even not only the person who fell, but also the members of other underworld families watching around, did not come back to their senses. There was a silence in the whole venue. How is this possible? Ken Porter, who had originally had a ferocious expression on his face, wishing he could see the heads of Light Nasla and the brazen kid being torn off in the next second, suddenly froze on his face, full of malice and pleasure. Are you kidding me? His eyes widened, still a little bit incredulous, looking at the dark bald man lying motionless on the ground. Hey, you are a beast who twisted the heads of 5 people with your own hands. You are a monster. His hands were shaped like claws, bent in the air, and he said in an unacceptable tone, "Don't be ridiculous. How could you be knocked down by a mere monkey? Get up now," he shouted at the top of his lungs. "Don't you want to go out and make money, spend your money like a drunkard, find pretty girls, and screw more people? I promised you all this before. Get up, you bastard." Seeing that the other party was still lying on the ground peacefully, Ken Porter finally broke down a little and started to get hysterical. It knocked him down. Not only Ken Port, but even Light Nasla couldn't believe it. He didn't expect that the dangerous guy, who looked so fierce and difficult to deal with, would just fall to the ground. He had no power to fight back and was knocked down in an instant. He subconsciously looked at Molek, who appeared again, waving his hands there with a casual and indifferent look. It seemed that what he had just done was a trivial matter, as simple as driving away a fly. Solved 1. Molek raised his head, his eyes without any emotion, and looked at Kinport, who was still hysterical. 1 left. Post views, 759, start opening unlimited blind boxes from Hunter x Hunter Chapter 007. The other party surrounded them all by himself. Please give me the data. Everyone. 007. The other party surrounded them all by himself. Please give me the data. Everyone. Kinport, who was originally howling loudly and breaking his defense, suddenly shuddered. His hair stood on end, as if he was stared at by some deadly danger. "Don't come over here." When he raised his head and met Molek's gaze, he was so scared that he kept backing away. Click! He quickly fumbled for a pistol from his waist, loaded it directly, and pointed the dark muzzle at the seemingly harmless guy in front of him. "What on earth did you just do?" As if the gun in his hand gave Kinport great courage, he asked loudly, "Never mind. No matter what you did," the anger and viciousness in his eyes flashed. "It doesn't matter, you die." Adhering to the principle of being ruthless and not talking too much, Kinport decisively shot directly and pulled the trigger quickly. Bang, bang, bang. Flames flew. The black muzzle poured out firepower, and a series of bullets poured towards Molek. At such a distance, any ordinary person facing such firepower would find it difficult to save himself. However, this is only for ordinary people. Still too slow. He left a sentence lightly, and Molek disappeared again in front of everyone. Even at his current age, Killua can easily dodge bullets. Not to mention that I have activated my nin ability now. Although the strength rating given is only 5 points strength assessment, 5 points. This is not a scumbag with a combat power of only 5. The strength assessment score, given by the Infinite Surprise Blind Box Telekinesis, is somewhat close to the scores given by Hisoka to many members of the Hunter Association in the selection of a new president of the Hunter Association. Hisoka gave scores to many hunters who came into contact with him, including the 12 earthly branches, and rated them. Sheep. Inda scored the highest, 90 points. Tiger. Kanzi scored 85 points, and Rabbit. Pion scored the lowest, 77 points. This low score was based on Shisua's personal judgment. Some other hunters scored 10 points, 20 points, 30 points, 45 points, 50 points, and even 2 points. So much so that Hisoka couldn't help but sigh. Although he is a professional hunter, is this the limit? A guy with a strength of 2 points can pass the extremely difficult hunter test, learn the ability of mind, and become a professional hunter. Then, with the current strength of 5 points, Molek can, after all, he is stronger than most people. At least, he is stronger than some professional hunters in the Hunter Association. Where did he go? Where did that bastard go again? The gun that had just finished spitting out flames froze in midair. Ken Porter didn't care and continued to pull the trigger frantically. His eyes were bloodshot as he stared at the empty space hit by the bullet, screaming crazily. The novel was taken from the Rala's website. Close where you're reading it and support us on our website for more free novels. Same thing again. Coward, trash, wimp. Come out if you have the guts. Click. The roaring voice stopped abruptly. With a crisp sound, Ken Porter saw the scene behind his head. As you wish. Molek wiped his hands and said calmly. Ken Porter, whose neck was twisted 180 degrees, opened his mouth, but in the end he said nothing. Plop. He also fell to the ground like the beast he had recruited, following in his footsteps. This was just right. At least they could have a companion on the road to the underworld. It really fulfills your master-servant relationship. Molek looked at the 2 people lying on the ground, neatly, and nodded. Compared to breaking a throat, turning a person's head is still a little inconvenient. Molek reflected on his previous actions. 1 hand is enough to break a throat, but 2 hands are needed to turn a head. Of course, 1 hand is not impossible to use more force. But even Finks likes to break necks with his 2 hands, so there's a reason for this. When Molek was resuming the game, as the dark-skinned man and Ken Porter fell to the ground one after another, the gangsters nearby finally came to their senses. Crash. They all stepped back at the same time, leaving more space in the field. This guy, everyone understood that the young man in front of them, who looked harmless and had no danger or deterrence on the surface, was the most terrifying guy. Have you solved all of them? Right Nasra stared at the scene in front of him in a daze. He really couldn't have imagined that just now, his current mortal enemy, who was still alive and kicking and mocking and despising him, was lying on the ground like a dead dog. And he was completely dead and could never stand up again. That's right, boss. It's all solved. After reviewing the situation, Molek, who felt that a dry throat was more suitable for his concise and sharp style, came over. Any other questions? Or is there anything else that needs to be dealt with? He said casually, looking around. Others that need follow-up. Light North instantly noticed the vigilant eyes of the other gangsters nearby. They all looked as if they were facing a great enemy, nervously put their hands on their bulging waists, and stared at the 2 men with extreme fear. They were afraid that one of them would give an order and the other would take action. According to the skills of this young man just now, it seemed that their current situation was very dangerous. The other party surrounded them all by himself. I beg you guys to give me some data. Let me know that there are still people watching. Flowers, tickets, whatever. Just give me a stunner. Post views, 779. Start opening unlimited blind boxes from Hunter x Hunter Chapter 008. This is my unconditional trust in you as a boss. 008. This is my unconditional trust in you as a boss. No. Feeling the unusual atmosphere. Right Nasra, who was getting nervous again, waved his hands quickly. He was not arrogant enough to do whatever he wanted and make enemies with all the other mafia families. But when he saw his colleagues around him, they all breathed a sigh of relief after hearing that he would not do anything. Their tense bodies relaxed, and their fearful eyes right nostril felt a surge of infinite pleasure in his heart. It made his whole body feel numb, comfortable, and wonderful as if it were electrified. Isn't this exactly what he has always dreamed of? As expected, I knew that Nyan's prophecy poem would not be wrong. It was absolutely correct. Light Nasra raised his head, his eyes full of blazing fire, staring at Molek in front of him. This is the person I'm looking for. He solemnly extended his hand to Molek and formally introduced. Right Nasla, Molek. They exchanged their names and held hands formally at this moment. Please take good care of me from now on, Molek chuckled and said. Boss, we're all the same. Right Nasra saw this and could no longer hide the smile on his face. Although his Nasra family had just been established, it had Nyan's magical prophecy poem to pave the way for it. And there were also powerful talents like Molek to help it. No matter from which aspect, the Nasra family's rapid development was just around the corner. Even right Nasra felt that God was helping him. One day, I will climb to the highest position and replace the 10 old men. I will definitely do it, under the burning ambition of right Nasla and the fearful gaze of his fellow gangsters. The Nasla family's car slowly drove away from here. As dusk fell, darkness once again enveloped this abandoned land. Molek took the car, away from the night, and drove towards a brighter and more hopeful future. After many twists and turns, the place where Right Nasla is currently staying is not as luxurious as the large manor house he later lived in. However, as a small leader under the Leeds family, he still has a small villa. The environment is a little bit shabby, but this is only temporary. Right Nasla walked in front and took Molek to visit his current home. It won't take long for us to change to a better and brand new environment. He is full of confidence and ambition. He is full of expectations for everything in the future. Molek looked around, looking for a blind box suitable for opening. The other bodyguards haven't arrived yet, right? Not finding any familiar faces, Molek took the tissue from the old butler beside him and thanked him. This old butler was later sacrificed by Dizoni when testing Karapika and other bodyguards. Since Molek arrived here first, there was no Dizoni after that. Your identity certificate will be issued in the next 2 days, and Kaharaba will explain to you some basic information about the outside world in detail. Light Nasra pointed to the old butler. And you, Molek, my most trusted and capable man now. He said very solemnly, from now on, you are my bodyguard captain. Although the bodyguard team is still small, everything is just starting. But I believe that with your ability, you can definitely build an excellent team. I will leave the recruitment of bodyguards and other matters to you. He clenched his fists, patted his chest vigorously, and said firmly, as a boss, I have unreserved trust in you. Well, it's a pretty big pie that was painted for me. Although Molek had just come out of Meteor Street and hadn't had time to eat, the pie that Light Nasra drew almost made him feel full. But that being said, Light Nasra could indeed do it. In the original version, he really let go and handed over the power of the bodyguard team to Dizoni, and he didn't know how many and what kind of people were in the bodyguard team. He has always been in contact with Dizoni. It was not until Dizoni died that he knew there was such a person as Karapika. Then, through contact and chatting with him, he recognized Karapika and made him the new bodyguard captain. In this way, after obtaining this great autonomy, Molek also humbly said some polite words, expressing some meaning of, I will never let the boss down. Then, under the leadership of the old butler, Molek went to wash up first, and then enjoyed a hearty dinner. By the way, why don't we see any maids? Don't we have any maids here? At the table, Molek peeled the crab shell of the green leaf crab and ate the green crab meat inside, while asking casually. This is a unique high-end seafood delicacy in the hunter world, a delicacy discovered by gourmet hunters. In the Light Nasla family, there are not many seafood delicacies of this level in stock. Today, they specially took it out to welcome Molek. The maids are all with the young lady. The old housekeeper, Kaharaba, said, because the young lady has a special hobby, there have always been maids who couldn't accept it and resigned, resulting in not many maids at present. Post views 757 start opening unlimited blind boxes from Hunter x Hunter Chapter 009. The first medium blind box. 009, the first medium blind box. Well, Naya Nasra's hobby and interest is human body collection, including organs and internal organs, and she has only collected dead things. It is indeed a bit strange for a cute little girl to like this kind of thing. It is easy for people to think that she is an unruly and perverted employer and leave for safety reasons. Molek nodded and took the crab meat out of the crab leg and put it into his mouth. Suddenly, the delicious taste jumped on the tip of his tongue, making him squint his eyes slightly in comfort. This kind of delicacy is really the first time I have tasted it. In fact, becoming a food hunter and tasting all kinds of food in the future is also a good choice. He clapped his hands and ate the last crab leg. All right, after having enough food and drink, he stretched and then slowly stood up. It's time to meet the main target of protection. Molek adjusted his tie and stood tall. After taking a shower and cleaning himself up, he changed into a black suit, which was the standard for gangsters. Although I still think the black windbreaker suits my style better, Molek put his hands in his pockets and looked at himself in the mirror beside him. But the suit thugs, he looked at his figure in the mirror, straightened up and couldn't help but smile. It's not bad, actually. Molek became the captain of the bodyguards of the Nasra family. The main job is to protect the safety of the family members. At present, there are only 2 people in the Nasra family. One is Light Nasra, who needs to go out for business all year round. He only needs to wear some sunglasses and guns as his subordinates to strengthen his momentum. The other is Molek's most important protection target. That is his daughter, Naya Nasra, who can write magical prophetic poems. Light Nasra knows very well that the key to his success lies in his baby daughter. Protecting her is the highest priority except for himself. Naya Nasra is well protected and pampered by Light Nasra, even spoiled. The rooms specially set up and decorated for her are all pink and luxurious princess style. The place where Nyan lives is the largest, most central and best room in the whole villa. Even Light Nasra himself only lives next door. Under the guidance of the old butler Karaba, Molek also came to the room, opened the door, walked in, and saw the owner. Is there a new person here? Naya Nasra, who was lying on the bed with her legs bent and raised, kept kicking on the bed, looked up when she heard the noise. She thought it was a new maid she had found. Her long blue hair fell on her shoulders, and a cute hair bridle was tied on the top. Her dark green pupils were blinking, matching her fair skin and big watery eyes. She looked like a blue-haired little girl with a simple and cute appearance. Sure enough, the real person is more three-dimensional and the image is more beautiful. Molek, who saw this key figure in the plot with his own eyes, sighed in his heart. However, the meeting is a meeting, and what attracts Molek the most is the blind box next to Naya Nasra that emits a faint blue luster and is invisible to others. The one that emits white light is an ordinary blind box, and the one that emits blue light is medium level. Molek chuckled in his heart. Sure enough, after coming here and meeting familiar people, there will definitely be gains. Got a medium blind box. Do you want to open it? Open it. When Molek opened the blind box, Naya Nasla was also watching Molek. When she saw such a strange man walking in, she was startled at first. Then her eyes suddenly lit up. Nene, she turned into a weird person and greeted excitedly. Are you the bodyguard that my father hired specifically to serve me? It's to protect your safety, not to serve you, Molek responded casually. All the same. Naya Nasra immediately sat up from the bed, crossed her legs in an M shape, and looked at Molek with stars in her eyes. My father is very strict with me, and I rarely play with people of my age, especially men of my age. This year, Naya Nasla is only 15 years old, 1 year younger than Molek. Strictly speaking, the two are more the same age. Please understand, young lady, my job is to protect your safety, not to play with you, Molek said in a businesslike tone. The cute little Lolita in front of him looked innocent and cute on the surface, but she was actually quite spoiled inside. How could a normal girl like to collect human organs, especially those from corpses and specimens? Although she has not been spoiled by Light Nasra yet, as the daughter of a gangster boss, she must be treated and loved as she should be. Especially after learning that she has the ability to predict the future, Light Nasra dotes on her even more. I don't care. As expected, after Molek rejected her, the corners of her mouth immediately shrank. My father hired you to be my bodyguard to protect me and obey me. It is my job to protect you, but if you are obedient, then you are a servant and I am a bodyguard. Molek crossed his arms and explained calmly. And you also said that it was your father who hired me, so your father is my boss. Between his request and your order, I will definitely choose the former. Even if you, the boss, give me orders and let me listen to you, I will definitely give you the highest priority. Molek predicted her prediction and said with a smile, I think even the boss will agree with me. I beg all the big guys, don't be stingy with your votes and flowers. I will think about the plot carefully, I will write it well, and I will update it well. Post views, 783, starred opening unlimited blind boxes from Hunter x Hunter Chapter 010. Sky Arena 010 Sky Arena. Ah, I hate you. I want my dad to give me a new bodyguard. She yelled very willfully. Please go ahead, Molek shrugged slightly. This is your own right, Mississippi. You can express your opinions to the boss at any time. Whether the boss is willing to adopt, it is his business. At least before my boss fires me, my duty now is to protect your safety. You bastard. Naya Nasra was furious. She collapsed on the bed powerlessly, feeling lost and bored. I thought I could find someone to play with me. I'm also thinking about going to the Sky Arena to watch this year's martial arts competition. In the end, I'm still trapped here by a stubborn and rigid fool. Sky Arena, hearing this, Molek raised his eyebrows. Miss, are you talking about the Sky Arena located in the territory of the Republic of Batokia? What else? Naya Nasra rolled his eyes weakly. Is there any other place in the world that can be called the Sky Arena and can host a martial arts tournament? There really is no place. Molek nodded slightly. As a holy place in the minds of fighting fans and martial artists around the world, the Sky Arena enjoys great fame all over the world. In particular, the Olympic martial arts tournament that affects the 6 continents is a grand event in the world of fighting and martial arts. Many martial artists and fighters, as well as people from all walks of life who are keen on this, will come here to watch this game. Molek remembered that during the next Olympic martial arts tournament, Naya Nasra came to the Sky Arena to watch the game under the protection of Karapika. She also opened a single room high up, an absolute VIP platform. She's quite interested in this kind of event, or rather, she simply likes to join the fun. But the next one was really exciting. Jed brought a bunch of people to mess things up, but it made a lot of noise. Molek still remembered what happened in the subsequent theater version, but it was still early. He looked at Naya Nasra's listless appearance and couldn't help thinking, if the lady wants to go to the competition, it is not impossible. The hair that had been drooping down immediately stood up, and Naya Nasra raised her head suddenly. Are you serious? Of course, my mission is only to ensure your safety, not to restrict your personal freedom. Molek said calmly. As long as the boss agrees, I will naturally have no objection. Very good. Naya Nasra cheered and jumped up from the bed. Of course, even if you can get there, Molek said calmly. Your safety is our top priority. If something uncontrollable happens at the competition site, I will make the decision and take action to protect you and evacuate at any time. Hey, I know. Naya Nasra was very happy at the moment. She didn't care what Molek said at all. I'm going to talk to my dad about this. After that, she jumped off the bed and ran to the door in small steps. Just as she opened the door and was about to go out, in fact, I found she turned around and blinked at Molek. You're not bad. Naya Nasra nodded her head as she narrowed her eyes slightly. You are barely qualified to be my bodyguard. Is that enough? Looking at Nayan's receding back, Morak smiled slightly. Although Naya Nasra is rather spoiled and willful, she is generally obedient and knows the difference between the important and the unimportant. There is no need to say more about his father, Light Nasra. Later, when she was in Yuxin City, she even had to ask the bodyguard Captain Dizoni before she wanted to go shopping. After Dizoni died, Karapika asked her to call Light to introduce him first, and she did so. After all, her magical prophetic ability is the root of the Nasra family's rise. Although Light Nasra loves his daughter very much, how can it be impossible to protect and control her when it comes to the foundation of everything he has obtained. At least, in the underworld world full of blood and cruelty comparable to hell, Nyan Nasra lives a good life and is well controlled. It is relatively easy to arrange for such a young lady. Molek, who had already thought of many ways to arrange things in his mind, followed without any pressure. The Sky Arena is also worth a visit. I won't say much about Yin Gu, Ji Shi, and other people who are often active in the Sky Arena. There are also many other familiar faces who came to this martial arts conference. Every martial arts conference will attract attention from all sides, and countless martial artists will rush here. As the world's top martial arts school and the world's largest and most well-known organization, the Hunter Association will also send representatives here. Nothing, but it will be more representative than the Hunter Association's president Netero, and it will be used as a signboard. Molek looked at his storage space, which contained the things that he had just opened from the blue medium level blind box. Medium, the blind box gave this good thing, so the blind box that came with Netero must be definitely extraordinary, right? Post views. 771 start opening unlimited blind boxes from Hunter x Hunter Chapter 011. Collector 011 Collector got a medium blind box. Do you want to open it? Successfully opened. Obtained. Firearms Collector. Source World. League of Legends. What came out of this medium blind box is the equipment props from the game League of Legends. As expected, it is worthy of being called Infinite Surprise Blind Box. It really has things from all worlds, even the game world and the equipment from Valoran Continent. Molek flipped it casually, and an exquisite and awe-inspiring pistol appeared in his hand. The pistol was glowing with a faint golden light, and the gun body was wrapped with special runes. If you look closely, it spreads out like a golden dragon bone. It exudes a slightly solemn and sacred visual sense. Compared with the appearance, Molek paid more attention to the characteristics of this equipment: death and taxes, and uniqueness. Death and taxes. If the damage you inflict would cause an enemy member's health to drop below 5%, they will be executed. Killing an enemy will grant you an additional 25 gold. Uniqueness: indestructible, indivisible, unlimited bullets. If the kill line is lower than 5%, kill it directly, and you can get 25 gold coins for harvesting one. It won't be damaged, and its durability is maxed out. With the unlimited firepower bullets, this gun is perfect for clearing out soldiers and harvesting the battlefield. Molek waited and played with it for a while, then turned the gun handsomely and put it on his waist. With a gun in hand, he looked more like a standard member of a gang in a suit. Medium-level blind boxes have opened such good equipment. There is no reason why the blind boxes around Netero would be worse. As a key figure in the plot, the level of the blind boxes around this old man, even if he has not officially entered the plot, are at least high-level blind boxes. Sky Arena is definitely worth a visit. Even if Netero had no interest in such a martial arts event, he still had to attend in person due to a series of official factors. Even if he just showed up and went back to his room to drink tea, he had to come. And this was exactly the opportunity for Molek. Perhaps he would meet many interesting people in this martial arts event. After Molek came from Meteor Street, he first learned about the time. As of today, it was April 1997. Molek remembered that in April 1997, an interesting thing happened at the Sky Arena. The Olympia Fighting Competition is the highest level fighting festival that all fighters pay the most attention to. Whenever it is held, it can attract widespread attention from all over the world. Almost all TV programs and entertainment programs in the 6 continents will be the foil of this fighting competition. This will be the unprecedented focus of the world. Molek has no interest in this fighting competition. The participants are all masters in the eyes of ordinary people on the surface, but in fact they are a bunch of scumbags. The real masters are either in the top of V5 or in the Hunter Association. Or like the Zoldyck family, they're openly engaged in the business of killing people, but they survive with their strong strength, and no one dares to provoke them. In Molek's opinion, this group of so-called masters pulled up by the Sky Arena may not be as good as the Ian Beasts under the command of the 10 old men. Or maybe they're slightly stronger. After all, even Jishi, who has studied for less than 2 years, has become a landlord and comes to participate in the competition. Therefore, the The fights are fierce and lively for laymen. But for the real experts, it looked like a child playing house, and they were very disdainful. But Naya Nasla was very excited about this kind of competition. After begging her father, Light Nasla, for a long time, Light Nasla finally agreed. Originally, he didn't want Nyan to go out so casually. It was the critical moment when their Nasla family was about to take off, and he didn't want any accidents. But after Molek said that he would protect the lady's safety, Light Nasla thought about it for a long time before agreeing. Nyan's safety is in your hands. He solemnly told Molek, "Don't worry, boss." Molek nodded calmly. "Before I fall, the lady won't have any accidents." After going through the same thing together, Light Nasra, who still trusted Molek's ability, didn't say anything more. "Your ID and cell phone number. My number is already stored in it. You can contact me at any time." After preparing everything for Molek, Light Nasra left this sentence and went to recruit maids again. Nine still needs someone to take care of her when she goes out. And after all, she is a girl, so she still needs some maids when she goes out. With Light Nasra's influence in the local area, it is not difficult to recruit some maids. Soon, after some review and screening, as well as Nyan's own careful selection, 2 maids were chosen by her, one of whom had long burgundy hair and was called Arisa. And within 2 days after these 2 maids were recruited, "Are you hiring here?" A tall man who looked like an African Indian tribe rubbed his hands, looking a little nervous and awkward, facing the old housekeeper in the villa. At his feet, there were dogs of various breeds lying on the ground, wagging their tails and sticking out their tongues. "Sorry, we don't need a trainer here." The old butler Kaharaba took a look at the dogs and politely refused. "No, you may have misunderstood. I am not here to apply for the position of animal trainer." The Indian waved his hands quickly. "My name is Skawara. I heard that there's a need for bodyguards here, so I came here specially to apply." "Heard?" Seeing that he didn't look like a good person, the old butler Karaba narrowed his eyes and asked, "Where did you hear that?" Post views. 837 start opening unlimited blind boxes from Hunter x Hunter Chapter 012. Second bodyguard team member 012, the second bodyguard team member. Skavara hesitated and was unable to speak. The more he did so, the more suspicious the old butler thought he was. Just when he was thinking about driving away the sneaky man in front of him, "Leave the bodyguard matters to me." Molek came out of the house upon hearing the voice and took a look at the familiar man who raised a dog. "I understand." The old butler bowed slightly and then turned around and left without any hesitation. The boss had already explained the matters of the bodyguard team, and the new captain was in charge. As long as he showed up, there was no need for him to say anything more. "You want to join the bodyguard team, right?" Molek looked up and down at Skawara, the most famous man who set a death flag and quit his job to get married after completing this job. Yes. Skawara swallowed nervously. The man was obviously the old housekeeper in the villa. After the young man showed up, he left without saying anything extra or asking any questions. It was obvious that he was a man with considerable power in the family. Even though the man in front of him was very young, Skavara did not dare to be careless. Even though he had awakened and mastered some special powers, he was still very nervous. This man is definitely not an ordinary person. Feeling the hidden danger coming from Molek, Skavara swallowed his saliva again. He now regretted being so impulsive. But when he thought about his girlfriend Arisa becoming a maid here, and he had so many dogs to raise, it would be a big expense. He could only grit his teeth and stiffen his neck. "I really want to apply for the job here." Molek pointed behind him and said, "You brought so many dogs with you. These are my family members, and they're also one of my skills in protecting them." When he mentioned these treasures, Skuvara became excited and said quickly, "They will help me with the guarding work, and for such a large yard, isn't it the most appropriate to raise these dogs to guard the house?" He used all his eloquence. "As long as you hire me, I promise that I will bring them with me and guard the entire house like an iron barrel so that not even a fly can fly in." "That's fine." Molek nodded immediately after hearing this. "If there is a fly in the room, it will be considered that you have failed in your duty as a guard." Skavara choked and froze for a moment. This was different from what he had imagined. Whether it was a rejection or an agreement. Sure enough, it was just an accidental activation of the ability to read. And his own physical fitness and psychological endurance were not up to par. When Skavara was stunned, Molek also made a judgment by looking at his appearance. Skavara should have activated his ability to read by accident. This situation is not uncommon in this world. In addition to being systematically taught and trained by someone, and being forced to open one's own pores by a strong blow, there are other ways to awaken the ability to read. Some are like Nayan Nasra, who is naturally gifted and awakens the ability to read naturally. Others are like some artists, whose works will have trace amounts of thoughts remaining. Skavara was probably stimulated by something while getting along with the dogs, and accidentally became a user of the ability to read. So his subsequent abilities to read are all related to dogs. And when facing with Jean killing the gangsters on the field, he also looked quite unbearable. He is just an ordinary person who got the ability by chance and is a little stronger. But although his ability is insufficient, his character is still positive. Molek stroked his chin slightly. Skawara is still quite loyal. When questioned about the deaths of the Phantom Troop members, he did not say anything about Karapika. He also values his companions and cherishes his dogs and his girlfriend Arisa even more. He took his dogs with him when he fled. And when faced with Nobunaga's threats, he evacuated the dogs first. And then, for the sake of his girlfriend, he shouted at Nobunaga despite the threat of death, and then his head was chopped off. Well, the death was very heroic and miserable, and it was not worth it. He is a bodyguard and has very professional ethics. When he was chased, he did not forget to take the auction items that the eldest lady of the host family had bought. It can be said that he is a pretty good subordinate who can be used. Okay, I was just joking. You are a good person to have so many dogs following you and taking good care of them. Molek waved his hand and told him directly, if you want to be a bodyguard here, go to the old butler to discuss the salary. I agree to this. You can discuss the rest of the treatment yourself, but you have to think about it carefully. Molek glanced at Skawara, whose face was obviously surprised. This business is not so easy to do, especially the bodyguards of the mafia families, not to mention the dangers, but also the workload, which is usually very tiring. I have no problem. Skuvara nodded like a chicken pecking at rice. I can do anything. In this way, the second member of the bodyguard team officially joined in. Post views, 673, starred opening unlimited blind boxes from Hunter x Hunter Chapter 013. Is it too late for me to quit now? 013. Is it too late for me to quit now? The team was no longer empty, and Molek was no longer alone. With Molek's nod, Light Nasla naturally trusted him. He waved his hand and not only hired Skawara, but also took in all the dogs he raised. Just when Skawara thought that the surprise came too suddenly, that he would be able to bring his dogs to work and see his girlfriend every day, and that life was beautiful beyond words, he realized what it meant that accidents often come so suddenly. You guys are going to the Republic of Batoria? While Skavara was still dreaming about living under the same roof with his girlfriend, he was suddenly struck by a bolt from the blue. Well, the young lady is going there for 2 days. Molek looked at Skora, who was standing there stiffly, and arranged a task for him. At that time, the young lady and her maid will go, and the boss will also go to the higher level to report on his work. You are the only one left here to guard. Remember to bring your dogs and do a good job of guarding. Because when the boss brought me back, we killed the head of a mafia family, and we were not sure if they would come here for revenge. So Molek said sincerely, if that happens, you should be careful. Why do I feel like I joined at such a bad time? And it's so dangerous. If I quit now, we'll be too late. By the way, in order for you to better protect the house and survive the revenge of the gangsters, keep working. Molek threw a notebook to Skavra, whose face was gradually turning pale and almost covered by his dark skin. The latter hurriedly took it stiffly and hurriedly. It contained some basic knowledge and training techniques about the ability of mind. You should read it carefully and practice more. Molek turned and waved at him. The best way is to improve your strength as soon as possible. I don't want the little brother I worked so hard to recruit to be gone when we come back next time. Telekinesis? Skavara was confused, but he vaguely understood what Molek meant. Is this the strange power I suddenly gained? Skavara wanted to ask more, but Molek ignored him and walked away in the blink of an eye. Improve yourself? Skavara looked at the notebook in his hand, with a face full of tears. What the hell is this? Originally, he joined here just to raise a dog and meet his girlfriend, just wanting to live a down-to-earth life. But he was caught up in the danger of gang fights and revenge. He was always on the verge of death. He might lose his life in the next second. How could this happen? When he thought of the consequences, Skavara shuddered all over. I finally got to live under the same roof with these cute kids and Arisa. How could I ruin this wonderful life? Skavara gritted his teeth and could only make up his mind and open the notebook in his hand. On the other side, on the airship heading to the Republic of Batoria, Dad, won't he go with us? Nianwen looked a little disappointed that she didn't see her dad going with her to the martial arts competition. The boss is busy with work, so he can't go with us this time. Molek explained. In Meteor Street, he killed Ken Porter, who was under the same Leeds family as Wright Nasla. They were all the leaders of the Mafia family, and their deaths were not in vain. There must be an explanation. Wright Nasla went to the Leeds family to explain the matter. Strictly speaking, this was also to clean up Molek's behavior. However, one less strong enemy was a good thing for their Nasla family. Don't worry, Molek. We will be fine this time. Wright Nasra looked generous and dignified and said, no matter what happens, I will be there. These words are very beautiful, making people feel that he, as the boss, has to take on everything. If it is a general guy who is not aware of the situation, he may be very touched by Light Nasra's words and be moved to work for him. But Molek knew that before saying this. He went to Nyan and asked Nyan for a prophecy. Although Molek didn't know the specific content, he saw Light Nasra's smiling face. I think he also knew that this trip might be very smooth. Really, it's always like this. Nyan pouted again. They said they would play with me and go shopping with me, but they turned around and left me behind for work. She spoke with a bit of disappointment and then looked up at Molek. She found that the latter was concentrating on reading the book about the Sky Arena in his hand and ignored her completely. I'm so sad. She could only lean on the maid Arisa beside her and complain, while Arisa gently stroked Nyan's hair and comforted her softly. Although she had just been hired and came to the side of this young lady, the fate between people is wonderful, and the relationship between the two of them is very good. However, while Arisa was comforting Nyan, she couldn't help but worry about Skavara in her heart. I don't know how he is now. Well, if Molek knew, she would definitely be relieved. With the threat of death hanging over his head, the boy would definitely work harder to study, instead of being only half-baked like before. Post views, 644 start opening unlimited blind boxes from Hunter x Hunter Chapter 014. Olympia Fighting Tournament 014 Olympia Fighting Tournament. The notebook that Molek gave to Skavara contained some basic concepts and common sense about nun ability. For example, the meaning of nun ability, how to control ki, how to train an ability, how to judge one's own type, and the basic 4 elements. He didn't ask how much Skavara could learn, but at least he shouldn't be as unbearable as before and give his life in vain. After all, he was his first little brother, so he should be able to look good. It was just some basic knowledge of nun ability users, so he should learn it well. As for the advanced ones, let's not talk about whether Skavara can learn it or whether he has the talent. The key is that Molek himself is not very good at it. Even if he knew the many methods and theories of the training of the immortal goddess of King Kong, Barbie Lowly, and Super Realgar Hair, and the muscle doll with full teaching ability points, it was not of much use. Theory is just theory after all, far less than practice. The practice of nun is not a simple talk, but a very delicate process. If there is any mistake in the middle, it is easy to take a detour and split your training. I still need someone to guide me. There is no other way. Molek is just a poor fruit with a strength evaluation index of only 5. In Hisoka's eyes, he is not even green. Boom! The airship broke through the clouds, and the roar shook the air. The vague outline of the Sky Arena, the 4th largest building in the world, located in the Republic of Batoria, has appeared in front of us. Sky Arena is a paradise for fighting fans. The entire building has 251 floors and is 991 meters high. The entire tower is almost entirely a fighting arena. Of course, there are also a small number of rest areas, waiting areas, consumption areas, etc. And most importantly, there are rest rooms for players above the 100th floor, as well as the floor areas of each floor owner. The entire Sky Arena is divided into 10 floors up to the 200th floor, and only the winners can advance to the next floor. According to official statistics, there are more than 1 billion spectators from all over the world every year, and more than 4,000 challengers line up to register at the registration office every day. The airship drove into the special reception parking area of the Sky Arena. While introducing, Molek took Nyan off the airship. In the first 100 floors, especially when you first sign up, all contestants must test their strength on the first floor. So the first floor is full of competition arenas. The referee will decide which floor each contestant will be assigned to based on their performance within 3 minutes. Naturally, the better your strength and the stronger your performance, the higher the level you will be assigned to. When you reach the 100th floor, you can have a private room, but if you lose the battle and fall below the 100th floor, your room will be taken back. Nyan Nasra nodded uncontrollably. Her dark green pupils moved back and forth, wishing to take in all the scenery in front of her. It was extremely lively, with fighters and martial artists from all over the world gathered here. In this airport, there were many people like them who came here from all over the 6 continents to watch this year's Olympia Fighting Conference. The novel was taken from the Rala's website. Close where you're reading it, and support us on our website for more free novels. Many people gathered together, causing this docking area to be a scene of bustling activity. It's amazing, at this moment, Nyan Nasra was not disappointed that her father could not be there. Instead, she watched everything in front of her with great interest. I heard that there are other benefits after the 200th floor. Is this true? She asked excitedly like a curious baby. Well, all the martial artists who advance to the 200th floor will be assigned to luxury rooms. Molek nodded. However, those who come to the 200th floor are undoubtedly all-powerful and powerful people. It will become increasingly difficult to advance to the next level. In this level, you only need to win 10 games to win. But if you lose 4 games before winning 10 games, you will lose the qualification to stay here. And if you can win 10 games and win this floor, you can challenge the owner of this floor. If you win, you will monopolize the floor and become the new owner, enjoying fame and a carefree life. Molek flipped through the Sky Arena book in his hand. Now, each floor from 230 to 250 is owned by a floor owner. If the OPs want to compete and win the highest honor in the Sky Arena, then they must participate in the Sky Arena, which is also the world's top fighting feast, the Olympia Fighting Competition. If you win, you can move into the top floor, the 251st floor, which is a symbol of honor. He snapped the book in his hand and closed it. The detailed information of each poster is available for sale at Sky Arena. After all, this event needs to be well promoted, otherwise the audience will not be interested if they don't understand it. Miss, do you want the information of these contestants? I can buy it back for you. None of that matters. Nyan Nasra interrupted Molek excitedly. I just want to know, when will the Olympia Fighting Tournament start? This may take 2 days. Molek looked at the explanation notice near the docking area and read it to her. The Hunter Association representatives have not yet arrived, and some spectators are on their way. There's still a few days until the official competition starts. How many days are left? Nyan's excited expression suddenly subsided a little, but she soon cheered up again. Then before the Olympia Fighting Competition begins, are there other fighting competitions? Let's go check that out. Well, there really is one. Molek's eyes unconsciously stayed on a promotional poster for the event next to him. One of the protagonists on the poster was a man wearing clown makeup and holding a playing card. A man with wine-red hair and a clown-like smile. Post views, 647 start opening unlimited blind boxes from Hunter x Hunter Chapter 015. Hisoka and Hwasher Delong 015 Hisoka and Hwasher fight. The Olympia Fighting Competition is a grand event in the Sky Arena. In order to welcome the arrival of this grand event, the Sky Arena naturally needs to be warmed up and the atmosphere heated up. Nothing is more suitable for warming up than an exciting game that people look forward to and has something to watch. And today's fighting game is a battle on more than 200 floors. Both sides of the game are also two very popular players in this Sky Arena. One of them is a super dazzling newcomer who has won all the way from the bottom and successfully reached the 200th floor, determined to take the chairman's seat on the first floor. The other one is dubbed the title of a magical magician, and any opponent is played in his hands. Known for being unpredictable and weird, he is a veteran strongman on the 200th floor of the Sky Arena. The names of these two people are Shisao and Hua Shidolang. In the heated audience seats, Molek looked at the two familiar figures standing on the stage under the spotlight. One was wearing a yellow training jacket, and his silver-white hair fell on his shoulders like a waterfall. The whole person was in high spirits and looked at the opponent in front of him with burning eyes. Opposite him, there was a man with teardrop and star-shaped makeup on his face and burgundy hair standing up wantonly. He squinted his eyes and looked at him casually. His appearance was charming and sexy, tall, muscular, thin waist and long legs. At first glance, he looked like a handsome man who knew how to dress up. However, the clothes with playing card patterns on his body made him look a little mysterious and unpredictable. The two sides of this battle were Hua Shidolang, a newcomer who had just reached the 200th floor, and Shisao, who already had a great reputation in this Sky Arena. This was also a relatively critical battle. In the end, Hisoka won the battle, but Hua Shidolang also won Hisoka's appreciation with his talent and strength, and was baptized by Hisoka. After losing to Hisoka, he relied on his talent and exploration of mind to win all the way, and practiced hard for 2 years with the goal of defeating Hisoka. But unfortunately, he still failed to win when he challenged Hisoka. Molek looked at the two people who entered the battle state after the referee announced the start of the game and thought silently. Hua Shidolang's talent is unquestionable, and he is definitely the strongest in the world. From the result of this battle, it can be clearly seen. Let us congratulate Hisoka for another win. The battle ended very quickly. Hua Shidolang, who had not yet opened his Jing pores to learn the ability of none, was no match for Hisoka. In front of him, he was undoubtedly defeated. But even if he was defeated, relying on the point system, he still got 3 points from Hisoka. And he hit and knocked the opponent to the ground. 1 clean hit and 1 down, a total of 3 points. What kind of concept is this? You know, Xiaojia, who has been learning none with Yingu for a period of time and knows Hisoka better, has also fought with all kinds of wits and courage. He only got 2 points from Hisoka. Don't say anything, so Hisoka was just an appreciative person towards Gon and didn't take it seriously. Facing Hua Shidolang, Hisoka also didn't kill him, but instead gave him a baptism. The fact that Hua Shidolang was favored by someone like Hisoka shows how talented he is. Later, relying on his own talent and his own exploration, he practiced savagely for 2 years. Killua, a top genius killer from a family of killers, was unable to detect his trace. Even when Hisoka fought him, his hands were cut off. If Hua Shidolang hadn't been careless and had aimed directly at Hisoka's head and neck, then the result might have been different. Is this the end? Is this the battle? When these thoughts emerged in Molek's mind, Nyan Nasra, next to him, was still unsatisfied. It looks really good. It's different from what I see on TV. Both of them are so handsome. Her eyes were flashing. You're mainly looking at handsome guys, right? Molek complained in his heart, and then arranged for someone to send Nyan to the hotel where she was staying to rest. What are you going to do? Nyan realized something and asked in confusion before leaving. Well, there's some things to do. Molek nodded and looked up at the center of the venue. I'll be back soon. When Shisao and Hua Shidolang were fighting, the blind box on the field, which was emitting red light, had already attracted Molek's attention. The high-level blind box appeared here for the first time. It appeared in the place where Hisoka and Hua Shidolang had their first battle, which played a very important role in the development of the subsequent plot. On the ring, his slender white arms gently brushed over the wounds on his body, and the wounds on his arms were brought to his mouth and licked gently by Hisoka. It's rare to see such a fruit with such potential. I hope your taste in the future will be worthy of my expectations for you. Looking at Hua Shi Dolang, who was injured and fell to the ground, in a coma, with a little bit of aura on his body, Shi Suo showed a seductive smile on his face. He stretched out his tongue and licked his lips gently, then twisted his enchanting figure and walked towards the player channel not far away. At the same time, quick, contact the logistics team to clean up the damaged areas on the site. There is also a medical team. Send Mr. Hua Shidalang for treatment. After a game, there will naturally be corresponding logistics personnel to sort out everything after the game. The Sky Arena has already had a fairly complete system for handling this aspect. Calculate the loss of the arena in this battle weight. What do? The logistics personnel in charge of the command was giving instructions, and then saw a strange face appear here. Post views. 609. Start opening unlimited blind boxes from Hunter x Hunter Chapter 016. High-end blind box. 016 high-end blind box. Family members. Molek suddenly broke in and stretched out his hand, pointing at Hua Shidalang lying on the ground, and said calmly, "Family members?" When Mr. Hua Shidalang registered, he did not fill in any family members in the contact column. The logistics staff said with some vigilance. He waved his hand, and many security personnel gathered around. After the fighter was defeated, he was in a state of injury. In the past, there have been cases where the enemies of the fighters chose this time to take revenge. Although they were severely sanctioned by the Sky Arena later, such incidents basically did not happen. But the necessary protective measures must be taken. I'm a friend. He just met me these 2 days. Molek spread his hands. If you don't believe me, I can wait for you to send him to a safe place and then come to find him. After saying that, he deliberately took a step back to indicate that he had no ill intentions. The logistics staff saw that the situation had eased a lot, but they were still vigilant and sent someone to Hua Shi Dolang sent him out. Now Hua Shi Dolang wanted to make sure that he would not have any accidents. But after he went out for treatment, if anything happened, it would have nothing to do with them. Molek also calmly watched the backs of the group of people leaving. The main purpose of his presence had been achieved. Got a high-level blind box. Do you want to open it? Successfully opened. Obtained a bag of Senza beans from the world. Dragon Ball. Is this from Dragon Ball? A whole bag of Senza beans. Molek shook his hand, and a gray, ordinary-looking bag appeared in his hand. It was bulging and filled with things. Even the bag is the same style as in Dragon Ball. After weighing the weight and roughly estimating the number of Senza beans in the gray bag, Molek couldn't help but smile. If nothing goes wrong, these Senza beans will be enough for me to finish all the plots, right? Although Togashi is still serializing the story and also inserting the past of the Phantom Troop, the Dark Continent chapter is nowhere to be seen. Molek opened the bag, picked out a bean from the bag, and observed it carefully. Senza beans. Eating just one bean will keep you from feeling hungry for 10 days, and it has a very strong recovery power. As long as the person is not dead, it can instantly recover physical strength and energy in extreme fatigue and readjust the body to the best condition. Senza beans are green in color and petal-shaped. Both the size and shape are very similar to broad beans. In addition to the advantage of having a very strong recovery power, there are 2 disadvantages. One is the low yield and low annual output value. The time cost of cultivation is extremely high, and it is impossible to grow a few in a year. When Senza beans first appeared in Corinta, they were calculated by jars, a full jar. These are the accumulation of hundreds of years of cat fairies. But due to Yajirobe's extravagance, it was difficult to collect a small bag in the period of Dragon Ball. The number is so scarce that it can only be calculated by grain. But with the full bag in Molek's hand, there is no need to consider the quantity issue. Unfortunately, it can only restore external injuries, but still has no effect on diseases. Molek regretted this second shortcoming. Senza beans can restore physical strength and treat external and internal injuries, but they cannot cure other diseases. In the chapter of Artificial Humans, Sun Wukong suffered from viral heart disease, but the Senza beans were powerless. As a result, Sun Wukong, a Super Saiyan, died of disease and died young. But it is enough to have these effects. Molek was quite content. In this world, things that can instantly heal injuries and replenish physical strength are also rare treasures. I'll sell it for money, and I guess I can get a lot. With a joke in his mind, Molek put away the senza beans. He got this red advanced level blind box as soon as he arrived at the Sky Arena. He also got this life-saving thing, which was a great harvest. Just for this senza bean, this trip was not in vain. In the Mafia, firearms were opened, and in this competitive fighting arena, life-saving items for healing injuries were opened. There is something to be said about the things that come out of this blind box. In a good mood, Molek continued to walk out. What he wanted this time was not just this blind box. Inside the Sky Arena's supporting hospital did I lose. Hua Shidalang was lying on the bed, staring at the white ceiling with his eyes blank. After a short treatment, he woke up, but he would rather not wake up like this. I really lost completely. He laughed at himself, his voice a little bitter. Hisoka really shattered his pride. His martial arts skills, which he was proud of, were not good enough in front of Hisoka. He seemed to be played with and manipulated by Hisoka like a cat playing with a mouse. Even Hua Shidalang knew that he was able to survive not because he was strong or lucky. It was because Hisoka deliberately showed mercy and saved his life as a winner. This was the biggest shame for him. This is the shame of my life. Although his arm was in great pain, as if a playing card had been cut, Hua Shidalang still tightly grasped the bedsheet. He had fought his way through all the levels and entered the 200th floor with high spirits. He had challenged those strong men with high spirits, but reality gave him a blow. Not only did he lose so badly, but he was also spared by someone as if by charity, and he was as miserable as a stray dog. However, I still have another chance. Feeling the new power surging out of his body, Hua Shidalang's eyes flashed with a brilliant light. Thanks to Angstone for the reward. Thanks to the first blood reward. Thank you very much. Post views. 626 starred opening unlimited blind boxes from Hunter x Hunter Chapter 017. Are you interested in seeing the wider world 017? Are you interested in seeing the wider world? After waking up, Hua Shidalang also realized that his body had gained a strange new power. This power was much stronger than the various martial arts he had learned before. Even though his whole body was full of injuries and severe pain, he still felt this surging, amazing energy. It seemed to be the purest power from life itself. It was constantly healing his body and recovering from his injuries. Is it because of this power that Hisoka is so powerful and can survive in this Sky Arena? Hua Shidalang looked at his hands and murmured. He seemed to have grasped the tip of the iceberg of this world. The word survival may not be appropriate. This place is just a playground for Hisoka. Suddenly, a faint voice came from the side. Who is it? Hua Shidalang's body tensed instantly. He had no idea that someone was here. Who are you? When he looked in the direction of the voice, he saw a man in a black suit standing there. Standing in the dark corner, wearing such a black suit, he looked a little creepy in the current environment. But Hua Shidalang didn't care about it. Instead, he looked at the man with burning eyes. In this man, he felt that there was a surging power similar to his own body. My name is Molek, and I currently work for a mafia family. He pulled up a chair and sat down. Are you from Mafia? Hua Shidalang was no stranger to the Mafia active in the 6 continents, especially the legendary 10 old men among them. It turns out that even among the gangs, there are such masters. He felt that the world was not as simple and easy as he imagined. You have great talent and strength, and it is amazing that you can fight Hisoka to this extent. Molek folded his hands. Are you interested in seeing a wider world? A wider world. Hua Shidalang raised his eyebrows. The kind of power you possess? Well, you can call it the ability to read minds. Molek nodded gently. Anyone who hangs out above the 200th floor of the Sky Arena has mastered the ability to read minds. 200 floors. Hua Shidalang was somewhat surprised. No wonder there are floor owners only above the 200th floor. Is that right? Then are all those OPs also users of none? Hua Shidalang knew how to draw inferences from one instance and try to get more information. They are all very powerful masters, right? Expert? Maybe Molek chuckled and didn't make any comments. But Hua Shidolang saw deep disdain in his behavior. He didn't even bother to comment on the group of OPs. This made Hua Shidolang think. It seems that in this world of mind abilities, there are also corresponding differences in strength and weakness. And the man in front of him, if I want to see it, Hua Shidolang said in a deep voice, then what is the price? The new world view was slowly unfolding to him, and more magical and powerful forces were beckoning to him. He had no reason to refuse to enter such a world. It's very simple. I'm short of people at the moment. Sometimes I can't spare time to do things, so I need someone to take care of me. Molek folded his hands and smiled softly. Just help me for a few years. Don't worry. The workload won't be too intense, and I promise you'll get everything you want. Help for a few years. After hearing this, Hua Shidolang frowned slightly. Are you asking me to join a gang? It's not like joining a gang. It's just an employer-employee relationship. Molek made a vivid analogy. Just like the contract hunters in the Hunter Association, they just fulfill the employer's requirements and do not join any specific forces. After he said this, Hua Shidolang's brows relaxed a little, and he was able to accept a lot in his heart. After all, simple contract employment and directly joining the gang are two different concepts. Hua Shidolang's goal has always been to make a difference in this world of martial artists. Can you give me everything I want? Hua Shidolang still didn't quite believe it. There are so many opportunities in the Sky Arena, or I can completely rely on my own abilities to find Pa. Before Hua Shidolang could finish his words, a notebook was thrown at him. He raised his hand to take it, and the words for basic banks flashed before his eyes. If there were really so many opportunities in the Sky Arena, there wouldn't be so many people like you who don't know how powerful you are without any common sense or preparation and just go to the 200th floor to fight head-on. Molek's voice sounded faintly. As for you wanting to find it yourself, sorry, I'm not questioning your ability. The world of people with psychic abilities is not the same as the world of ordinary people. You have never been exposed to the world of psychic users in the past few years. Now you want to find it. You can imagine how difficult it is to take a step back. Even if you can find a circle of people with psychic abilities, are you sure you can get what you want from there? That world is more dangerous and unpredictable than the underworld I am in now. Are you sure that you can grow in the best possible way in such an environment? Post views 622. Start opening unlimited blind boxes from Hunter x Hunter Chapter 018. The shock brought by Sinzu Beans. 018. The shock brought by Sinzu Beans. Hua Shidolang was silent. He had actually considered what Molek said. He wanted to study martial arts, but practicing martial arts is more difficult than most people imagine. He had to endure so much hardship and sweat to get here. Compared to martial arts, the world of mind power, which is even more mysterious, is definitely not that simple. But if you believe this guy who suddenly appeared, anyone would have doubts, not to mention that he is from a mafia. Don't worry, you will get the full salary you deserve while you work. Molek flicked his finger, and a small green bean flew towards Hua Shidolang. And if you join, you can also get such good things. Let's consider it as our meeting gift. I'll give it to you for free. Molek leaned back slightly and said with a smile, this is just a simple way to express my sincerity. A gift? Beans. Hua Shidolang looked at what he received. It looked normal, just like an ordinary bean. He was puzzled. No matter how much you say, it is far less real than experiencing it yourself. Molek raised his chin towards him and said, you can try it and feel it. Of course, if you still have a wary and distrustful attitude towards me, you can return the bean and the notebook to me, and I will leave without saying anything. Molek shrugged his shoulders. It's up to you to choose. A mysterious man with unknown origins, suspected to be from the dark world of gangs, took out a strange bean. According to normal people's thinking, it is not too much to be vigilant. Children are also told not to eat anything given by strangers. But for Hua Shidolang, personal experience? Thinking of how badly he was beaten by Hisoka in the ring, he was in such a humiliating state. He clenched his other hand tightly. I don't want to go through this again. Hua Shidolang's eyes became more and more determined. Even if this is a drug from the devil, as long as it can make me stronger and defeat Hisoka again, he resolutely threw the Sinzu beans in his hand into his mouth. I am willing to. Seeing Hua Shidalang's performance, Molek's mouth curled up slightly. Sure enough, it's a reinforcement type. He smiled in his heart, as expected. According to Hisoka's classification of the personalities of the various types of nun-users, most reinforcement type characters are relatively simple-minded, and not so complicated. And this kind of people make judgments and actions, and basically all of them are pure, trusting intuition without too much thought. At this time, Hua Shidalang is the best performance. Crunch. Crunch, the beans make a crisp sound when chewed in the mouth. Well, I just don't know if this crunchy is a chicken-flavored. Gurgle. When Hua Shidalang swallowed the beans, my body, his eyes instantly expanded to their maximum. This is Hua Shidalang looked at his hands in shock. The wounds on his hands that were originally cut by Hisoka's playing cards were all healed in an instant. And not only his hands, but also the injuries, fatigue, pain, and hidden injuries accumulated from so many battles. At this moment, they were all perfectly healed. Not only the pain, but also his own physical strength. Originally, after a big battle, his body functions and conditions were in a relatively poor recovery state. But now, Hua Shidalang felt that he was better than ever before. This is called Senza Bean, which can heal various injuries and restore the body's condition. Looking at Hua Shidalang's unbelievable look, Molek chuckled and explained briefly. And this is my sincerity. Something that can instantly heal a person's body and replenish their physical strength. Is sincerity like this? After Hua Shidallang recovered from his shock, he fell into silence for a long time. As a martial artist who had fought many times, he knew the effect of this kind of thing and what it meant in a battle. Molek was not in a hurry and waited for him while he was silent. After a while, you asked me to help you for a few years. Hua Shidalang's voice was a little hoarse. What exactly are you doing? And how many years do you need help? Sure. Don't worry, I won't let you do anything immoral, such as burning, looting, bullying, and bullying. Although we are a gang, we have long since gotten rid of such low-level interests. He said with a smile, what's the point of targeting the lower-class people who are not as good as us? They're just thugs. Rubbish. What we want to do is something more fulfilling. When Hua Shidallang asked this question, he had already given the answer in his heart. The subsequent words that Molek said to him were just to give him a reason to accept and agree so that he could get over the hurdle in his heart. After all, regardless of whether Molek could really give him everything he wanted, if he could get something of the level of Senza Beans, it would definitely be worth it. Therefore, Hua Shidallang chose to nod and agree. In addition to getting a new high-level blind box and opening the life-saving item, Senza Beans, Molek also gathered another pretty good subordinate. Post views, 578, start opening unlimited blind boxes from Hunter x Hunter Chapter 019. I hate you guys. I hate you guys. 019, I hate you. I hate you. You mean Nyan Nasra stared at Molek with eyes wide open and asked in disbelief. You just went out for a while, and you recruited the contestant who was fighting in the ring just now. Strictly speaking, he was moved by the gangster moral spirit I conveyed and voluntarily came to join our family. Molek corrected seriously. Nyan Nasra, what is the so-called gangster moral spirit? Where is the gangster moral spirit? Humph, don't think I can't see it. You just say these words deliberately to fool me because I am young. But you actually let this pretty boy join our family? In Nyan Nasra's two bright eyes, there was nothing else except the reflection of Hua Shidallang. What perfunctory and deceitful, what moral and immoral. As long as he could pull such a good-looking and pleasing martial artist who had fought to more than 200 floors of the Sky Arena here and to his side, that would be enough. Nyan Nasra screamed in his heart with a sinister heart. Hua Shidallang felt a little uncomfortable being stared at by Nyan Nasra. This behavior was different from the cruel and cold-blooded gangster lady he imagined. Put away your crazy energy. Seeing this, Molek also knocked Nyan Nasra's little head with his knuckles. Don't scare people away. It hurts. Nyan Nasra immediately hugged her head. She puffed up her cheeks and stared at Molek like a fierce hamster. The maids beside her, such as Elisa, also stood aside and lowered their heads when they saw Molek's action. The authority level of the bodyguards is much higher than that of the servants. Outside, the other party can be fully responsible for everything about them. They have no right to speak in front of Molek. Not to mention, it involves the ladies' matter. I'm just expressing my happiness. Seeing that Molek started to rub his wrist again, Nyan Nasla immediately restrained his expression. He could only murmur and complain quietly. Before the next Olympia martial arts competition begins, Miss, you must tell me all your plans. Ignoring her mumbling and nagging, Molek directly ordered, only if I agree, you can do it. I protest. Nyan Nasra was immediately annoyed. You are restricting my personal freedom. What's the difference between that and imprisoning me? This is not home. And during the martial arts competition, there are all kinds of people, dangerous guys in crises. Molek said, for the safety of the young lady, of course, the guard level must be raised to the highest level. What if I decide to make the decision myself? Nyan Nasra blushed and puffed up her cheeks. Then I can only report the relevant situation to the boss. Molek crossed his arms and said, but when the time comes, I will use my personal protection authority and my own force to force the entire team to return. As long as you return home safely, everything will be fine. As for whether you will report me to the boss or fire me, that is the boss's business, he said calmly. I personally accept any decision made by the boss, even if it means firing me. Well, anyway, Light Nasla has already issued me his ID. If he really fires me, I can just find another employer. How could you do this? Seeing Molek's domineering look and his unwillingness to give in, Nyan Nasra's eyes instantly turned red. Every one of them is saying something is for my own good, not letting me do this or that. My dad doesn't come to accompany me, and even you want to restrict me. What's the difference between this and being in prison? The more she spoke, the more aggrieved she felt, and tears began to flow from her eyes. You are all bad people. I hate you. Woo woo woo. At the end of the conversation, Nyan Nasra burst into tears. The sound of her plaintive crying was so heartbreaking that it made anyone cry. Miss Arisa and the other maids couldn't bear to see this and wanted to go over and comfort her. However, whoosh, a line of sight shot over and they froze in their place before they could even lift their legs. That Huashitalang couldn't help but raise his eyebrows when he saw this and wanted to say something. However, when Molek's calm gaze swept over, he silently stopped talking. I hate you, I hate you. She rolled on the bed. However, no matter how she cried or made a scene, Molek remained indifferent. This is just the beginning. Molek silently looked at Nyan Nasra, who was flopping wildly on the bed. This was their first time to get along as a team, and they had to determine the position of the person in charge from now on. Was it Nyan Nasra, the eldest lady, or Molek, the captain of the bodyguards? Molek would not make any concessions on the issue of determining the dominant position. Otherwise, if Nyan followed them out in the future, it would be easy to be like the original version. While shopping in the mall, she ran out in disguise and met Kororo. As a result, the other party used his telepathy to steal her prophecy ability. It can only be said that all of this was done by herself. Post views 581 starred opening unlimited blind boxes from Hunter x Hunter Chapter 020. Bean-Faced Man and by Yongda 020 Bean-Faced Man and by Yongda. Molek would not let her do what she wanted. No matter how she cried, how she made a scene, Molek would not let her go. Nyan Nasra seemed to realize this, and her sadness surged. After a while, the noise on the bed gradually stopped. Are you tired of crying? Molek took a look, then nodded to Arisa and the others. Look after the lady. If she wants to continue making trouble after coming here, let her do it. He looked at Hua Shidolang. You will protect her safety during this period. Me? Hua Shidolang was startled when he was called. He subconsciously looked at Nyan Nasla and Elisa, the two powerless maids, and then looked at Molek. After confirming that the other party was not joking, Hua Shidolang asked, Are you so confident in handing them over to me? I believe you. Molek patted his shoulder and walked out. When he left, he did not forget to tell Elisa and the others, if the lady wants to call her boss, don't stop her. If you want to go out, you can go to a formal place not far from here and let Hua Shidalang accompany you as a guard after reporting to me and getting my approval. Well, this certainly can't really limit Nyong's personal safety. Yes. Arisa and the others nodded quickly. Hua Shidalang quietly watched Molek's back as he left. Trust. He placed his hand on the place where Molek had just tapped and murmured, "It seems that the work will begin from now on." Sometimes, the relationship between men can be quickly shortened in a few words. At least, Hua Shidalang felt that the unfamiliarity and estrangement between him and Molek had been reduced a lot. Molek, who had handed Nyan Nasla and the others to Hua Shidalang, was able to withdraw at this time. It's time to do the next thing. Walking out of the room, Molek looked at the information on the surrounding TV screens. Mr. Netero, the president of the Hunter Association, has arrived at the Sky Arena. Netero's arrival means that at least the advanced blind box has also arrived. How can you not open such a blind box? The upper floors of the Sky Arena. The outer room of a special VIP reception room. That's all right. The short, bean-faced Mr. Bean-faced man in a suit and tie finished sorting out the last piece of material in his hand and wiped the non-existent sweat off his face. He has no nose or ears, so he doesn't know if he can sweat. Next, I have to prepare the opening speech for the president at the Olympia Martial Arts Tournament. Thinking of his next job, Mr. Dumian Rin couldn't help but sigh. As Netero's secretary, and even the entire Hunter Association, he knows his president's temperament very well. Even if he really wrote a speech for the opening ceremony, it is estimated that with Netero's temper, he would not read it all. At most, he would pick a few sentences from it, read them casually, and then end it. The president is really willful sometimes. Mr. Dumian complained while rushing to finish the manuscript. Netero may be willful, but he still has to write the manuscript. At least he can read a few sentences according to the manuscript. If there is no manuscript, he will just let himself go, which will be even more troublesome. And Mr. Dumian is even a little worried. What if in a future martial arts competition, even if Netero is given a manuscript, he will not read it? That would be a real big problem. Mr. Dumian was writing furiously. Ding-ling-ling. The dedicated phone on the desk rang at this time. Hello? What's up? He answered the phone with one hand and wrote a manuscript with the other, showing a very dedicated attitude towards work. Mr. Dumian Rin, someone wants to see President Netero. The person on the other end of the phone reported. He said he has something very important to tell President Netero. Dumian Rin did not interrupt and continued to listen carefully. In their Hunter Association, there are relevant procedures for outsiders to see President Netero and other matters. If there is no special reason, the operator on the other end of the phone will not call Dumian Rin specifically. Since the person said that he had something important to talk to Netero about, and the professional operator called him, that means that the matter is indeed serious. The other party mentioned a name, saying that as long as they heard this name, President Netero and Mr. Beanface would not sit idly by. The operator continued without pause. By Yongda, huh? Mr. Beanface's hand suddenly paused. He took the phone in front of him and stared at it seriously with his small eyes. Let him in, okay. The operator also smelled something unusual from the feedback from Mr. Dumian Rin. At the other end of the phone, at the elevator entrance of the Sky Arena, please take this elevator. It will take you to the corresponding floor. After hanging up the call, the operator politely said to the young man in front of him, "Thank you." Molek nodded politely and stepped into the elevator to the top floor. Is he also wearing a suit? The operator, who was also dressed in a suit, looked at Molek's back and couldn't help but think. Could he also be from the Hunter Association or some other Hunter faction? Post views. 575 starred opening unlimited blind boxes from Hunter x Hunter Chapter 021. First meeting with Netero. 021 First meeting with Netero. On the other side, the bean-faced man also informed Netero of the situation. He mentioned Bayongda. Could it be someone sent by Mr. Bayongda? Mr. Dumian Rin analyzed. No, from what I know about Yongda, if he wants to negotiate with me, he could just call me directly on the top floor of the Sky Arena, in the room that belongs to the president of the Hunter Association. Netero, wearing a silver-white ponytail and a blue-white training robe with a Taoist style, wearing high-heeled clogs, with his huge earlobes hanging freely, stroked his hooked beard with one hand and said so. Even if he has something that he cannot say to me directly, he can ask someone else to convey it to him. Netero looked at the young figure in the elevator through the screen and said with a smile, "But I definitely won't let his people come to see me so directly." "Is that so?" Mr. Beanface thought thoughtfully. "He is afraid that you, the president, will detain the people he sent, right?" "No, no, no. Buckle down as for." Netero gently stroked his curved beard and laughed loudly. "I just wanted to play a game with him to see what kind of guy Bayongda chose. As expected, I still can't understand the way you two think and get along with each other. But one thing is certain," Netero flicked his sleeves and smiled. "There is no relationship between this young man and Bayongda. I'm a little curious about what he wants to do by using Bayongda's name to come and see me." Bayongda, full name Bayongda Netero. He is the current president of the Hunter Association, the biological son of Isaac Netero. According to the name reading method in the Hunter world, the first name comes first and the last name comes last. Therefore, the real name of President Netero should be Isaac. Netero is a respectful name for him by outsiders, who only call him by his last name instead of his given name. Bayongda, as the son of President Netero, is not in the Hunter Association. He did not carry forward the Heart Source martial arts founded by President Netero and inherit his legacy. Instead, he wanted to go to the Dark Continent. However, due to Netero's obstruction, he had to be trapped in these 6 continents. For this reason, Bayongda did not hesitate to choose to join forces with the Kajin Empire and even planted an undercover in the Hunter Association. Vice President Paris Dunhill is his spy in the Hunter Association, considering the special relationship between Bayongda and President Netero. Molek came here to meet Netero under the name of the other party. Of course, meeting Netero is not the most important thing. The elevator arrived, and the automatic door slowly opened. The first thing that caught Molek's eye was not the antique room environment. It's really not ordinary bright. The novel was taken from the Rala's website. Close where you're reading it, and support us on our website for more free novels. The charm of the purple luster emanating from the whole room made Molek's mouth slightly raised. Purple brilliance, special blind box. This is the card of Isaac Netero, the world's #1 hunter, the president of the Hunter Association. Even if he has not participated in any plot yet, just appearing, he already has a top-level blind box. You seem very happy. At this time, President Netero, who was sitting cross-legged in front of the coffee table, looked at Molek, who came in, his hands inserted into his sleeves, and his eyes were indifferent. Anyone would be happy to see the legendary president of the Hunter Association. Molek walked in with a smile and subconsciously glanced at the special blind box next to Netero that was emitting purple light. "Get the special blind box. Do you want to open it?" Molek naturally chose no. In front of this old monster that has lived for more than 100 years, any slight change will not escape their eyes. Molek naturally chose to be safe and put it away first. But even so, Netero still noticed it. Netero followed Molek's subconscious gaze and looked to the side. "Is there anything here?" He glanced at the empty space where the purple blind box was originally located. "Or, is there anything worth your attention?" He turned his head and looked at Molek and nodded slightly. "Sure enough, there is no relationship between you and Bayongda. Besides, your main purpose of coming here is not to see me, right?" He didn't even add the word should. His tone was very firm, and he obviously saw something. "Well, Bayongda is just an excuse to come to see you, the president. In front of this old monster, there is no point in hiding. My name is Molek. Nice to meet you." Molek walked to the coffee table, sat down, and nodded. "Molek, now that you have seen me," Netero's hooked beard shook slightly. "What do you want from me?" "There was something wrong originally," Molek answered honestly, "but now it's done. Is that so?" Netero nodded slightly. "It seems that your career is going well." "It's all thanks to the president." The bean-faced man who just walked into the room said, "Post views, 548, start opening unlimited blind boxes from Hunter x Hunter Chapter 022. I have received your sincerity. 022, I have received your sincerity. I am quite curious. How do you know Bayongda?" I'm probably not the only one who knows about this, right? Facing Netero's question, Molek shrugged. This kind of thing, as long as more than 2 people know it, it is no longer secret. Yeah, that's right. Netero thought about it and felt that it made sense. It's normal for Yongda to recruit troops and leak some news. After all, they're young people, and they just can't hide things. Netero nodded as a matter of course. The bean-faced man next to him hesitated to speak. Mr. Yonda was already over 60 years old. It was hard to call him a child. Well, in front of the 110-year-old president, he was like a child. Then, is it inconvenient for me to ask out of curiosity? Netero stroked his beard and looked at Molek calmly. You even mentioned by Yonda's name. What on earth are you doing here? Of course, if it is not convenient to say it, it does not matter. I will not force you. After he said that, he put on a casual attitude. Molek glanced at the yellow dodgeball rolling out beside him. Well, if he did not say it, it would not matter. But most likely he would stay and play a game with him. With this old naughty boy's character, he can definitely do it. But fortunately, he has already made preparations for this. It's not that inconvenient. Molek flipped his palm and took out a small green bean. It's just about my personal ability. It's just a small gift, not a token of respect. He placed the Senzu beans on the table, smiled at Netero, and said, "Take this as an apology for bothering the president." This is Netero looked at the Senzu beans on the table and examined them carefully. Could this be your relative? He suddenly turned his head and looked at the bean-faced man who was also curiously looking at him. Although we are all green beans, there are still essential differences, right? He looked at his own president speechlessly. Fortunately, this kind of unreliable personality is not the first time he has experienced these little beans. Netero picked up the beans with 2 fingers, closed one eye, and opened the other to look at it carefully. What is it used for? For eating. Molek coughed lightly. Since it is a bean, of course it can be eaten. That's not necessarily true, Netero said without turning his head. The bean next to me cannot be eaten. Mr. Bean-Faced Man. Okay, you're coming for me, right? Mr. Bean-Faced Man wanted to cry, but had no tears. He was the only one hurt. I can eat it, but I don't know how it tastes. Or could this be croton? Netero twisted the beans and glanced at Molek. My frail body can't stand the tossing and turning. You must be kidding. If you are frail and can't stand the tossing and turning, then there will be no strong people in the world. President, you could take a bite first. Molek chuckled and said, You will understand once you taste it. Is that so? Netero looked around and found nothing else. Stick out your tongue and lick it. Oh, it seems to be all right. Under the speechless gaze of Mr. Bean-Faced Man and Molek, he laughed as if he had succeeded in a prank. Then he took a bite of the top of the Senzu bean. Crunch. The taste is quite crisp. Netero chewed and commented, If the gourmet hunters in the association were to cook it, maybe it would be better. Netero's eyes narrowed slightly. Even his body seemed to pause for a moment. As the strongest fighter in the 6 continents and the strongest man in the world, he has a thorough understanding and control of his body. He can easily feel the slightest change. So, after taking a bite of the Senzu bean, wow, this is indeed a very good gift. Netero's hands were so fast that he hid the remaining half of the Senzu bean somewhere unknown before Molek could even see it clearly. He stroked his curved beard with one hand, smiled, and said to Molek, I have received your sincerity. That's good. Molek nodded slightly. Netero was very satisfied with the effect of the Senzu beans, which was normal. For these powerful nun-users, items of this level were the best life-saving charms. In a circle of top nun-users, it was real hard currency. The fighting competition is about to start. President, you must have a lot of things to do here, so I won't bother you anymore. After saying that, Molek was ready to get up and leave. Wait a minute, Netero suddenly called out, looking Molek up and down, and suddenly laughed. Do you have any beans from the bean-faced man's relatives, Molek? I really don't have any on me now. Molek stretched out his hands helplessly. If you don't believe me, you can search. Netero stroked his beard and said nothing. Post views 564. Start opening unlimited blind boxes from Hunter x Hunter Chapter 023. Special blind box. 023 Special blind box. In the end, Molek still didn't give out any extra beans. For something of this level, no matter how much you ask, you definitely won't have it. Netero didn't force it, but asked Mr. Bean Face Man to send Molek out. What an interesting young man, ha ha ha. In the room, the half-broken Senza bean appeared in Netero's palm again. It's really interesting. How did you do it? He tried to flip his palm. Netero asked that just now, not because he really wanted to ask Molek for extra Senza beans. He was more concerned about the process of Molek taking out the Senza beans just now. There is no fluctuation in thoughts, and the fluctuations in the amount of energy are also very stable. Moreover, his strength is not that strong, and his movements are relatively rough. The process of Netero putting away the beans was actually a test. He wanted to see if Molek could see clearly his action of hiding the beans, and through observation, he was sure that Molek was not hiding his skill, but really didn't see clearly. Then Molek's method of taking out the beans, which even he couldn't see through, was worth pondering. Thoughts are a very magical power. Perhaps there are mysteries in it that even I cannot see through. Netero smiled happily. I met another interesting young man. Who. Whether it was using by Yonda's name to meet him or taking out this magical bean, and the method that made him unpredictable. Netero had a feeling that this young man would achieve more in the future. Even though he was still very weak, he had endless potential. Grow up soon. He stood up and weighed the dodgeball at his feet. It would be boring if you were alone. Snap, snap, snap. The thin old man, alone in this office, played dodgeball by himself. At the same time, on the other side, finally, I got out. After waving goodbye to Mr. Bean Face Man, after coming out of the elevator, Molek walked on the street outside and slowly exhaled a breath of foul air. Meeting with Netero, the #1 man in the world, it would be a lie to say that he was not nervous. Fortunately, this old man himself has the temper of an old naughty boy, and his character is relatively just and lawful. This time, the journey to find the blind box was safe and sound. Then, it's time to count the harvest. Molek found a secluded and safe place, looking at the blind box emitting purple light in the storage space, and couldn't help but smile. Come on, this is my first special blind box. Let me see what good stuff I can get. I got a special blind box. Do you want to open it? Turn on. Successfully opened. Obtained. Master Kame's harvest of 100 years of martial arts. Source World. Dragon Ball. Master Kame. The harvest of 100 years of martial arts by Master Wu Tian. Before he had time to be happy, Molek closed his eyes and carefully felt the harvest this time. Master Kame, the former world's #1 martial artist in the Dragon Ball world, is known as the god of martial arts. The founder of the martial arts school Kame Ryu and the father of Kamehameha. He is known as the strongest in the world and is called the legendary martial artist of Master Wu Tian. On the surface, he is a lecherous, powerless old man. But in fact, he is a muscular man who can even crush the moon. Even though he was suppressed by the cosmic science like Sun, Wukong one after another, his presence was suppressed. But it still couldn't cover up his glory. Master Kame, who has lived for more than 350 years. His accumulation and precipitation in martial arts cannot be explained in words. At least, when Molek slowly accepted these harvests. Only then did I begin to realize how powerful this is. This is Molek slowly opened his eyes. Is it the energy of the turtle school? He looked at his hand and slowly clenched it into a fist. Instantly, an astonishing amount of energy instantly filled his fist. Not only in the hands, but also in the body, Molek could sense that within his body, there was a tremendous and surging force surging. Among the gains of Master Kame from his 100 years of martial arts, one of the most important things was his 100 years of practice, which was the practice of Qi. If you study the Qi in Dragon Ball and the Qi in Hunter x Hunter carefully, you will find that they have common characteristics. They are both pure life energy and can be used to fight against enemies. The ability to release the mind and the Qigong waves in Dragon Ball are very similar. The cultivation systems of the two can be completely combined. Master Rashi has practiced Qigong for 100 years, and at this moment, it has all turned into the strength of Molek himself. In the world of Hunter x Hunter, In addition to ability and basic combat experience and literacy, the most intuitive thing between the strong is the strength of the mind and the amount of ki. The results of Master Rashi's 100 years of practice have also brought a huge amount of ki to Molek. Post views 592 starred opening unlimited blind boxes from Hunter x Hunter Chapter 024, A Century of Martial Arts. 024, A Century of Martial Arts. But it's not yours after all. Molek quietly felt the surging energy in his body. If you want to be able to use it as if it were your own arm, you still have to compress it a little more. Although he could use the power that was instilled in this world dominated by the power of mind, if he wanted to use this power to the fullest, he naturally had to compress and refine the energy into his own. Although the amount of ki extracted in the end will be greatly reduced, it will become purer and of higher quality. It will also be more handy and completely become my own strength. Molek lingered in his heart. It will also be more handy and completely become my own strength. He silently familiarized himself with the power in his body and did not forget to feel other gains. In addition to this huge amount of ki, the martial arts gains of this century naturally also include the various attainments of Kame Sennin in martial arts during these 100 years, including but not limited to the practice methods of Kame Sennin ki, various martial arts techniques, experience in fighting against others, etc. Kame Sennin Ryu is Kame Sennin's summary of his own martial arts practice. Just like the Heart Source School created by President Netero himself, there are many martial arts practice methods in this world, and the Heart Source School is just one of them. Although Molek has not yet come into contact with this school, from what he perceives, the practice of this Kame Sennin Ryu may not be worse than the Heart Source School. It may even be better. In this case, there is no need to find a master for yourself. Molek digested the knowledge and experience of cultivation and felt that his future was open. The cultivation of Xinyuan Liu may need someone to guide. Even those who have passed the hunter test are no exception. But if it is Kame Sennin Ryu, Molek himself is the best teacher. No one knows Kame Sennin Ryu better than him. This is also a thoroughfare to the supreme power. As long as you continue to study and improve this school, it is only a matter of time before you become the strongest. Kame Sennin Ryu definitely has such strength and potential. This can be seen from the various martial arts techniques summarized by Kame Senrin. The signature skill of Kame-style Qigong, Afterimage Fist, Drunken Fist, 10,000 Nations Shocking Palm, Demon Sealing Wave, etc. Every move and every style can even be used as a mind ability. With so many rich martial arts moves, Molek does not have to worry about his future means of dealing with the enemy. As for the experience and skills of fighting the enemy, with more than 100 years of experience in fighting, what kind of opponents has Master Rashi not seen? His title of God of Martial Arts, Master Wu Tian, is not something he shouted out. Instead, it is earned through his extraordinary strength. These fighting experiences are of great benefit to Molek. As long as he masters some of the advanced application techniques of mind abilities in the future, such as Hard Round Joe, and others can also learn to combine and apply it with the Turtle Immortal style, then his strength will definitely rise to more than one level. It can be said that the special blind box that was opened this time really made up for the biggest shortcoming that Molek urgently needs now. It made his strength have a qualitative leap. In this high-risk hunter world full of dangers and unpredictable life and death, only his own strong strength can bring Molek such confidence. It can be said that this special blind box is worthy of the name of special. It's not about how strong and invincible it is. Instead, it gives Molek the most needed and urgent power now and solve his difficulties. At least, let me stand in front of Netero again, and this time I should be able to see clearly his method of hiding the Senzu beans. After reviewing the abundant harvest this time, Molek's mind was also greatly satisfied. So much so that he was still eager to try and wanted to find Netero to test the results. However, as soon as these ideas came out, they were directly extinguished by him. He is not like those guys in Dragon Ball, who got the explosive power after fusion and integration and became conceited. After Iskai and his subordinate Jupiter fused with their ear beads, they gained huge power and expanded, and even thought about going to fight Bu with Son Goku. It would be strange if he didn't get the shit beaten out of him. After opening the blind box this time, Molek also noticed a little pattern. In the Sky Arena, all the things that were open were related to the Dragon Ball martial arts school that also had the world's #1 martial arts tournament. The blind box opened by Netero, the world's #1 man, is related to Master Kame, the #1 martial arts school in Dragon Ball. In other words, blind boxes still have some affinity. Blind boxes opened near some special people, and places may have things and skills that are suitable for people and places. Of course, this is just Molek's guess. Blind boxes, it is because of their unknown nature that they bring so many surprises to people. Bilibalibalai, just as Molek was slightly digesting and summarizing the gains this time, the phone in his arms rang. It was Right Nasla calling. Click. Boss. Immediately after the call was connected, Right Nasra's low voice came from the other end of the line. Nyan told me everything. Post views. 628. Start opening unlimited blind boxes from Hunter x Hunter Chapter 025. Boss, is it possible that it was just my illusion? 025. Boss, is it possible that it was just my illusion? Obviously. The young lady also went directly to her father to complain. Enlightened Nasla called to inquire about the situation and to ask for an explanation. Molek understood immediately. In the past, he might have taken it a little more seriously. But now, I asked someone to look after the young lady and not let her go out casually. Feeling the power in his body that had not yet dissipated, Molek said calmly, I understand. After a 2-second silence, Right Nasla on the other end of the phone spoke. You must have your reasons for doing this. Since I have given you the full authority to protect Nyan, all actions outside will be based on you. You should be more professional than me in this regard. Light Nasra did not hold anyone accountable, nor did he say anything else meaningful. What he did say was just trust and delegation of power once again. In this respect, Light Nasra is indeed a good boss. No wonder Dazoni was willing to risk his life for him. Of course, it is not ruled out that his trust was based on the prophecy poem given to him by Nyan. At that time, he came to Meteor Street and found Molek with the help of Nyan's prophecy poem. But no matter what, Light Nasra gave Molek such trust, and Molek was not so ungrateful. Moreover, if this matter is not resolved as soon as possible, if Nyan makes any more trouble later, it will affect their relationship, which will not be good. Molek thought about it. And just when Light Nasra was about to hang up the phone, he said, Boss, I think you should know that the divination that the lady possesses is a unique ability, right? Well, I know this is the power that Nyan was born with, a power given by God. Although he didn't know what Molek meant, he still felt a little proud when he talked about this. This is a gift from God to Nyan, and it is also a power given to him. Well, since the eldest lady can possess such power, other people will have similar abilities. Have you ever thought about this, boss? Right Nasra was startled. What do you mean? What I mean is that other people may also awaken this strange power, and this power is not limited to divination. You mean Light Nasra was not a stupid person. He had some reaction. Among those who have awakened strange powers, their abilities may be offensive, defensive, or of course Molek paused, plunder and steal. Molek could clearly hear Light Nasra on the other end of the line, breathing heavier. Did you find something? His voice became a little hoarse, and the heavy and rapid breathing was clearly audible. A little bit, Molek said vaguely, but I'm not sure. If even you're not sure, then it means there is indeed a potential danger. Light Nasra's tone suddenly rose. Yes, you are over at the Sky Arena. Now the Sky Arena gathers fighters from all over the world to hold the Olympia fighting tournament. All kinds of people come here. Those people you mentioned may have already come to this place. No, we can't let Nyan stay in that place anymore. Come back. You have to come back quickly. Molek could faintly hear the roar and hysteria in the words. Light Nasla seemed to be really panicking. Boss, is it possible that it was just my illusion? Molek asked tentatively. Or even if that group of guys existed, they were just here to add to the fun of the conference. I don't care about whether it's lively or not. Light Nasra's attitude was quite firm. I just know that Nyan is very unsafe there. On the other end of the phone that Molek couldn't see, Light Nasra's eyes were already full of blood. Molek, he called out Molek's full name in a deep voice. I trust your judgment and feelings 100%, even more than you do yourself. Now, as the boss, I order you to come back from the Sky Arena now, immediately, right away. But the fighting competition has not started yet, and the lady is looking forward to it. If she does this, don't worry about her, Light Nasra said firmly. Everything is based on Nyan's safety. It's based on Nyan's divination ability, right? Light Nasra was so nervous that he made such a judgment, which was not unexpected by Molek. After all, he started from scratch, and his hope of turning over a new leaf was all on Nyan. Everything he had, money, power, status, reputation, was based on that magical divination ability. Once Nyan had any accident, he would become the little boss with nothing again. This was something Light Nasra would never allow to happen. Nyan's safety, or the safety of her divination ability, was his bottom line. He would not tolerate any situation that threatened this ability. Light Nasra acted extremely quickly. Post views, 586 starred opening unlimited blind boxes from Hunter x Hunter Chapter 026. Stimulated self-esteem 026. The stimulated self-esteem when Molek hung up the phone and returned to his residence. Looks like there was too much noise. I opened the door and walked in. And what caught my eye was the mess on the floor. The young lady cried very sadly. Washer Dolang emerged from his hiding corner. He said faintly, "Not long ago, the boss called us and didn't say anything, just asked us to pack up and leave here immediately. He even said that if we were too late, we would rather leave our things behind and send the lady back as soon as possible." So the lady got mad, right? Molek looked at the slightly red and swollen area on Hua Sherdolang's forehead. "I'm sorry for putting you in such a difficult position." Hua Sherdolang sighed deeply. Originally, he followed Molek here mainly to practice and become stronger, so that he could defeat Shisua in the next ring fight. He thought this was a gangster business that killed people without blinking an eye, but in the end she was a babysitter, and she was so willful. She threw things around randomly, and she threw them so accurately, hitting people on the head. This was really different for what he thought. Where is the lady? Tired of crying, she fell asleep again. Well, this is the second time that Nyan fainted from crying. I believe this situation may happen more and more in the future. There are differences between gangs. Molek took a look at Hua Shidalang, who had changed into a black suit to better fit in. I suggest you prepare yourself mentally in advance. Hua Sherdolong suddenly felt that he had a long way to go. He felt like he was on a pirate ship, but since he had chosen this path, he could only keep going. Nyan fainted from crying, but this did not affect the team's departure at all. Maids such as Arisa carried Nyan onto the airship, and the group set out on the journey to leave here. Well, it can be said that they came here just to watch a game, and then they returned. Maids such as Arisa naturally didn't care, and Arisa even preferred to go back early to see how Skuvara and his dog were doing. Hua Sherdolong didn't care either. After losing to Hisoka in the ring, there was no point in staying here. The most important thing was to leave with Molek and get the secret of becoming stronger. Molek was even more so. He had gained a lot from the place where Hua Sherdolong and Hisoka fought, and from Netero. This trip to the Sky Arena was a great harvest. In other words, a world where only Nyan was hurt was achieved. But no one cared about her feelings. Even her father would only pay attention to and care about her divination ability. Even if he had to take a step back and let her father choose between her and her ability, he would most likely choose the latter. It takes a certain amount of time to return to her home in the European continent from the Sky Arena. During this return journey, Nyan naturally woke up. Knowing that she was already on the way home, she was even more angry. She found the phone again and made a series of fatal calls to her father, Light Nasra. But the one who knew Nyan best and knew his daughter best was him. I don't know what Light Nasra said to Nyan. At least on the way back, she was very honest. There was no crying and shouting, no trouble, and no mention of going back to continue watching the Olympia fighting conference. Instead, she honestly watched the live broadcast on TV with the maids in her room. During the period, she saw that Huasher Delong was excited and called him over to help explain it. Well, if it was a normal competition, Huasher Dolang could still explain it from the perspective of a martial artist. But when the hosts used their telepathic abilities, a power that he did not understand and could not see through, Huasher Dolang knew that this involved a field that he had never stepped into and had always pursued, and it was impossible to explain. Then he received Nyan's disappointed look. What? I thought you were so powerful, but you can't even understand the fights of the hosts, let alone fight them. The young and ignorant words deeply stimulated Huasher Dolang's self-esteem. He directly took out the notebook that Molek had given him before and began to study it seriously according to the introduction to the practice of the basic 4 elements recorded on it. As for Molek, he had no time to care about these things. He was refining his own vast amount of energy in his room. This also led to a particularly harmonious return journey, which also made Arisa and other maids relieved. In this way, time passed slowly, and soon they returned to their own home. As for Right Nasra, he left early and waited at home. You are finally back. Seeing Nyan jumping into the house, Right Nasla was relieved. Seeing her father, Nyan didn't show any good face. She turned her head away and snorted, without even looking at him, and walked towards her room. Light Nasra didn't mind this. As long as nothing happened to Nyan, it was fine. As for her attitude, Light Nasra already had considerable experience in dealing with it. He had experienced worse situations than this, so this was nothing to him. Thank you for your hard work. Looking at Molek, who came in from behind, Light Nasla's tone became much gentler. Post views. 555 starred opening unlimited blind boxes from Hunter x Hunter Chapter 027. The Zoldyck family's move 027. The Zoldyck family's move. It's nothing, just doing what needs to be done. Molek looked at Right Nasla, who looked a little dusty and tired. Boss, is it okay for you to come back so early? Apparently, he rushed back almost immediately after hearing about Nyan's potential danger. It's nothing. The Leeds family has already taken care of it. Light Northrow waved his hand. Kinport is finished too. As he said that, he sneered, his eyes showing obvious gloating. Their family is now unable to take care of itself, and the inside is already torn apart. Kinport was the guy who had his neck broken by Molek on Meteor Street and taunted Light Northrow. So the situation now is that the leader is dead, and his people are going to scatter like monkeys when the tree falls? No. Even if Kim Porter died, he still had children and brothers who could step up and take charge of the situation. The main reason is that their family has no money, Right Nasra explained. They targeted a family's business and then spent a large sum of money to hire a killer to assassinate the leader of that family. So now, they're spending more than they earn, and the whole family is starving. As Light Nasla explained, Molek gradually understood. Just as he said, Kinport had set his sights on a particularly profitable industry, and then spent a lot of money to hire a killer to assassinate the leader of the family that held that industry. This also led to the current serious deficit within their family. Originally, Kinport was ambitious and ready to make a big move. When the other party was in chaos because of the death of the person in charge, he took that profitable industry into his pocket. For this reason, he went to Meteor Street and found a powerful thug to ensure that this time the action of annexing the other party's industry would be foolproof. But unfortunately, before he could make a big move, he died in Meteor Street and in Molek's hands. As for the industry he was plotting, it was called Spicy Mountain. Spicy Mountain is rich in a kind of spicy mountain, or which can form a kind of crystal. This kind of crystal is something that can make people addicted and worse than death with just a little bit. It is said that once you have tasted the refined crystals, you will be addicted to them and will never be able to get rid of them. Many people will go bankrupt to buy the ore from Spicy Mountain. In the end, everyone will be ruined and collapse. The name of Spicy Mountain, Molek, sounds quite familiar. It was the place where the candidate named Anida was originally. On the way from the second round of the Hunter test to the third round of the test in the original timeline, a candidate named Anida attacked Killua with a dagger on the airship. She claimed that Killua had killed her father and tore her family apart, and she wanted to kill Killua to avenge her father. And the place where her family was Spicy Mountain. So, It was because of this assassination that Anita's family was destroyed, right? Well, when things are sorted out like this, they all fit. And the assassin who assassinated Anita's father was almost the Zoldyck family. Only this family can basically ensure that the goal is achieved without any mistakes. Only this family has a very high price, which makes the family a little out of money. It is said that the official offer of the Zoldyck family is 10 billion yuan. If converted into RMB, it is about 60 million. This figure reflects the extremely high value of the Zoldyck family members and their status in the assassin world. Moreover, they do not support batch settlement. They take all the commissions directly after completing the order. For Kinport, who is just a small family, paying 1 billion ringgits at a time is definitely a serious injury, even a major artery. Originally, after obtaining the mineral industry of Spicy Mountain, their family could also recover. But who could have expected that the leader Kinport would die in Meteor Street? Of course, there are also sharp-sighted guys in the family. They emphasize the need to decisively take the industry into their pockets. But with sharp eyes, there are naturally short-sighted and stupid ones. Kinport died suddenly, and the leaderless family naturally began to split up. What's more, the Spicy Mountain mineral industry is so tempting, and there are other people watching it. Of course, they don't want to see the people of the Kinport family react and join in the fun. As a result, some mafia families fanned the flames behind the scenes and basically killed the Kinport family. Perhaps, even if Kinport had not been killed by me, he would not have been able to keep the mineral industry in Lashiang Mountain. Molek glanced at Right Nasla, who was in a good mood. If Kinport had really prospered, then Right Nasla would definitely not have lived as comfortably as he did later. Most likely, he was killed by someone who was waiting behind him while he was taking over the industry. As for who will be the ultimate beneficiary of the victory, it depends on who gets the Laxianxian or industry. The Leeds family has already intervened, and it won't take long for things to be settled. There was a hint of mockery in his eyes. Dear big guys, please give me some votes and flowers. The data is still a bit fragmented. I beg you. Post views, 599. Start opening unlimited blind boxes from Hunter x Hunter Chapter 028. Dazo and the Devil 028. Dazo and the Devil obviously. Light Nasra also understood what this dust settled meant. The industry of Spicy Mountain would most likely fall into the hands of the intervening Leeds family. But all this had nothing to do with them. With Nine's divination ability in hand, Light Nasra was still not interested in this hot-handed business that could easily be targeted by others and put himself in danger. By the way, I heard that you hired a new bodyguard in the Sky Arena. Light Nasra seemed to remember something. He is a powerful martial artist who can fight on the 200th floor. Being able to play this position in the Sky Arena is enough to show how powerful he is. Light Nasla smiled and said, "And I also believe in your vision. I will not give him any less than he deserves." He clapped his hands and said, "It just so happens that I also met a very powerful guy outside. He was shot with 10 bullets, but he was still safe and sound. I think he should be a person of the same level as you." After the applause, a figure walked out from behind Light Nasra. He was tall, wearing a black coat and a blue scarf. There were black lines under his slightly fierce eyes. His name is Dezoni, and he has also accepted my employment and become a member of my bodyguard team. Dezoni will serve as my personal bodyguard to protect my safety, said Right Nasra. However, the protection work of the entire family, especially the young lady, is still mainly yours. When necessary, all the bodyguards will put your opinion first. This is what Light Nasra promised Molek, and this time he just emphasized it again. He said it in front of Dezoni and Molek, and the intention was self-evident. However, after he finished speaking, Dezoni, who was standing behind him, raised his eyebrows. "Is that him?" Dezoni couldn't help but look at Molek in front of him, who looked younger and more immature than him, dressed in a black suit and very eye-catching. Before accepting the employment, Dezoni heard that Light Nasla had said these conditions, and Light Nasla also stated in advance that if he couldn't accept it, then he could only regretfully end this cooperation. Even so, Dezoni still accepted it. It's not that he likes to be controlled by others and doesn't want to be the boss. It's that he thinks his strength is not bad. Just follow Light Nasla, find the bodyguard leader mentioned by the boss, and knock him down. Let Light Nasla see clearly who is the most powerful. Then he will naturally replace the original one and become the new captain of the bodyguard team. Now, he has also seen the man who Light Nasla has always praised and admired. It's just that it's a little different from what he imagined. I understand. Molek just nodded, glanced at Dizoni, and said nothing. If it was before going to the Sky Arena, the former head of the bodyguards of the Nasra family would have asked him to pay more attention. But now, the novel was taken from the Rala's website. Close where you're reading it and support us on our website for more free novels. There is no need for that. Is it amazing to block 10 bullets with your body? Now he can easily block those 10 bullets with his bare hands. However, the white blind box next to him is quite interesting. Then you two can talk for a while. I have something else to do. After saying this, Light Nasra went upstairs to coax his daughter Nyan. Only Molek and Dizoni were left here. You're a Molek, right? After the boss left, Dizoni spoke first. I've heard the boss talk about you many times. Well, your name is Dizoni. The boss just said so. Molek nodded. Then we know each other. After saying that, he didn't want to waste time here, so he turned around and left. Wait a minute. Dizoni suddenly raised his voice, looked at Molek, and said in a deep voice, "Is that all? What else do you want to say?" Molek just glanced back at him and said, "The boss has already said everything that needs to be said. If you don't understand something, just go find the boss." Before I go find the boss, I think there is one more thing I need to do. He raised his head and legs, staring at Molek, wanted to walk towards him. Before he could finish his words, everything stopped abruptly. Dizoni's pupils suddenly shrank, and he saw a pair of extremely indifferent eyes, as well as it was like the terrifying aura of a monster beast that devoured people's hearts and souls from the abyss of hell. "I'm not interested in playing tricks with you," Molek said calmly. "My time is precious, and I don't have time to waste it with you. If you really have any other ideas, either go find the boss now, or I'll take you to the boss after that." He ignored Dizoni and turned away. Plop. After Molek left, Dizoni sat down on the ground. He gasped heavily, as if he had just been freed from the air. Devil Post Views. 567. Start opening unlimited blind boxes from Hunter x Hunter Chapter 029. From now on, you must never become his enemy. 029. From now on, we must never become his enemy. Thinking back to the pressure that was like a mountain just now, which made him suffocate and unable to breathe, a trace of fear flashed in Dizoni's eyes. The evil thoughts that surged towards him like a tide and covered the sky and earth really made him unable to raise the slightest thought of resistance. He sat on the ground and relaxed for a long time. No wonder the boss respected his opinions so much. He was silent for a long time, and then slowly realized this reality. From now on, you must never be his enemy. After resolute in this thought, Dizoni staggered to his feet and went to find Light Nasla dejectedly. Thus, the right to speak in this family was once again determined. What a joke! Even Nyan could not shake Molek's position, let alone this Dizoni who joined later. In addition to providing Molek with a white ordinary level blind box, he had no other value. Receive a regular blind box. Do you want to open it? Open successfully. Get basic storage space of 5 cubic meters can be stacked. 5 cubic meters? A few cubic meters more than Light Nasra. It seems that even if they are all ordinary level blind boxes, there are still differences between blind boxes of the same level. As for this gap, it should also be the degree of participation in the plot and the importance of the plot development. Compared with Light Nasra, Dizoni's presence in the plot is still a little stronger, including but not limited to testing Kurapika, arresting and interrogating Wajin, and being pierced by Finks. After all, he was a famous and dead extra with some roles. It was understandable that the things he opened were a little higher than those of Light Nasla. In this way, Dizoni provided Molek with a most ordinary blind box and opened up the storage space, but it had no other value. In this way, the Nasla family entered a short and peaceful development period. Light Nasla easily made his daughter Nyan happy again, and asked her to write some people's prophecy poems again. This was the relationship he established when he went to the Leeds family this time. In addition to explaining the cause of Ken Porter's death, he also took this opportunity to get to know many people in the Leeds family. Once the prophecy poem was used to bring the relationship between each other closer, making himself an indispensable existence. Then it would be no problem for him to rise to prominence in the future. Dizoni also recognized the reality and his own status, so he just stayed with Right Nasra silently, acting as his personal bodyguard. Whenever Light Nasra had to go out on business, he would accompany him. It can be seen that being able to take 10 bullets gave Light Nasra a great sense of security. Well, it is perfect to use it to block bullets when necessary. Huasher Dolong also gradually became familiar with and integrated into the life here. Of course, the most important thing is that after he started to master the basic 4 elements, he realized how vast the world of mind is. Everything about mind is so profound, and when he asked Molek about something he didn't understand, the latter could always answer him clearly. This also made Huasher Dolong more determined to stay here. When he was impressed by the magic of mind ability, he always had some doubts. It seems that some of the techniques for using ki taught by Molek always feel a little special. But in Molek's words, there are many martial arts schools in this world that practice mind and ki. What he practices is one of the many schools. It's called something like Turtle Immortal Style. It doesn't sound very impressive, but when it comes to practicing it, Huasher Do Lang can't stop. The main reason is that some of the martial arts in this style are very much to his liking, especially one of the moves called Afterimage Fist. He has always had an idea. When he fought with Hisoka in the Sky Arena before, he found that Hisoka launched an attack only after locking onto him. So what if he has multiple targets and Hisoka can't lock onto them? Or what if he suddenly catches him off guard and makes him unable to react? For some reason, Huasher Do Lang felt very unhappy when he thought of Hisoka's face always having an expression of wisdom, and his 2 arms that play with cards and seem to control the fate of life and death. He also wants to cut them off. Huasher Do Lang has calculated through the Mizumi style that he belongs to the strengthening type. He thinks that he may be able to integrate this Afterimage Fist move into the mind ability he wants to develop. Well, not only did he determine the type through the Mizumi style, but Molek also made him recognize the probability of developing the type of ability.
No more novels? Take part in the voting. The most requested novels and those with the most likes will be chosen for publication on euroaudiobooks.com. There, I can upload as much as I want without the risk of receiving a strike. Our 18 novels and other content that exceed what is morally acceptable are only published on Patreon or the free novels page. Remember, the site is funded by donations on Ko-fi and Patreon memberships.